Chapter 180. Xiao Wu, why must you marry me? You're still young. A girl of your age is still a half-grown child. It's still too early for you to get married. Ming Shi admitted that he had a good impression of Feng Wu. Anyone would have a good impression of such a pure and almost transparent girl. But right now, it was just a good impression. It couldn't be considered love or anything like that. Moreover, as he said himself, Feng Wu was really too young. At most, she was only 15 years old. At such a young age, it was a little too early to say that she was getting married. He even suspected that Feng Wu really knew the meaning of marriage. Because you're like my master. Master said that if I want to get married in the future, I must find a good man like him. Feng Wu used a soft and sweet voice to honestly say the words that her master had used to trick her back then. The group of experts instantly felt several black lines slide down their foreheads. Young lady, can you not be so honest? The few of them carefully looked at Ming Shi's expression. No one would be happy to hear that the reason for their marriage proposal was because of an elder who looked like this young lady. Sure enough, Ming Shi's mouth twitched a few times. His eyes seemed to reveal a deep sense of helplessness and understanding. I'm sorry, Xiao Wu. I still have to reject you. Oh. Just when everyone thought that Feng Wu would be upset, she only nodded calmly. There wasn't even a trace of disappointment on her face. Ming Shi didn't want to continue the topic of marriage proposal. After saying goodbye to Feng Wu and the others, he immediately left with his people. When he left, his footsteps were a little messy and he walked a few steps faster than usual. Although he still looked so elegant, no matter how you looked at it, it looked like he was running away. And then, the last time they met last semester, the proposal ended in failure. From the day they parted outside the school, they didn't even see each other in school until the end of the semester. Feng Juntian didn't know who his sister wanted to propose to, even though his grandfather had told him that his sister had boldly proposed to a classmate in school. However, Feng Juntian didn't believe her. He knew Feng Wu's personality very well. She would never propose to someone in public. Thus, after hearing Feng Wu's words, Feng Juntian decisively misunderstood. He took a deep breath and looked at Feng Wu in the video awkwardly. It wasn't easy for him to reconcile with his sister. He really didn't want to pour cold water on his sister, but there were some things that if he didn't let Feng Wu understand, she would only be hurt more in the future. Xiao Wu, I know you only have Ruo Bai in your heart, but you and Ruo Bai are really not suitable. Brother believes that in the future, you will definitely find a man who truly loves you. He deliberated over and over again, using the least hurtful words he could think of to express his meaning. Originally, Feng Juntian thought that Feng Wu would be hurt and throw a tantrum after hearing these words. He didn't expect her to be so calm that it was somewhat abnormal. He saw Feng Wu use a pair of large black eyes to look at her brother. Then, with a stoic face, she asked in a puzzled voice, Who is Ruo Bai? You don't know Ruo Bai. Feng Juntian was shocked. He was very clear about how much his sister liked Qiu Ruo Bai. For Qiu Ruo Bai, she had done many crazy things, but now, his sister was actually using such a puzzled expression to ask him who Ruo Bai was. If one had to describe Feng Juntian's current feeling, it would be as if he had been struck by lightning. He was completely stupefied. Why do I have to know him? Was this Ruo Bai someone important? After searching through her memories, Feng Wu couldn't remember knowing such a person. She furrowed her small brows. She was clearly talking about the proposal, so why did she talk about this Ruo Bai? Also, who was Ruo Bai? What did it have to do with him? Feng Wu blinked her large eyes in puzzlement. 3 words were written all over her small face. She didn't understand. You don't need to know. You don't need to know who he is. He's just an unimportant person. Regardless of whether Xiao Wu had really forgotten or was pretending to forget to heal her emotional wound, he didn't plan to continue talking about it. It couldn't be better if Feng Wu wanted to forget about Ruo Bai. Brother, you still haven't answered me. Why won't he agree to marry me? What about the father who won't be a little bun? Feng Wu couldn't understand why. Her brother seemed to be very smart, so her brother should know why Ming Shi wouldn't agree to marry her. If Feng Juntian knew that his sister had placed such heavy hopes on him, she really didn't know how he would react. For a moment, Feng Juntian didn't know how to answer his sister. His sister seemed to have encountered some emotional troubles, and this man wasn't her good friend Chiu Ruobai. He should be happy, but he was also very worried. Could it be that his sister had suffered a huge blow from Ruobai, so she wanted to find a random man to date? Xiao Wu, brother thinks that you're still young. It's better to wait a few years before considering marriage. Feng Juntian said in a deadpan manner. Sister Tianyue said before that Xiao Wu is already a mother, so I'm an adult. Feng Wu blinked her eyes, looking at Feng Juntian with a serious expression. Feng Wu had always thought so. Master always said that a biological child was an adult. She wasn't married, but she had a child, so she should be an adult. Sister Tianyue also said so it couldn't be wrong. Xiao Wu was an adult. The girl thought expressionlessly in her heart, secretly confirming her identity as an adult. Feng Juntian suddenly had a feeling of speechlessness. Xiao Wu was indeed a mother. For a woman who was a mother, it was too far-fetched to insist that she was a child. Because he didn't know how to deal with his sister's problem, Feng Juntian used the excuse of helping Feng Wu find a way to successfully propose and close the communication crystal as quickly as possible. On the other side, Feng Wu was in a very good mood and the corner of her mouth twitched. Brother said that he would think of a way. Once her brother figured it out, Senior Ming, she would definitely agree to marry her. Thinking like this, the girl's mood immediately soared. She clearly had high hopes for her brother, and she never thought that her brother might be tricking her. At this time, in the Feng family, the brother that his sister had placed high hopes on was sitting in a daze in his room. As a man with zero experience in love, and even holding hands with girls was limited to his sister, Feng Juntian was under a lot of pressure. After closing his eyes and thinking for a full 5 minutes, he finally moved. With steady steps, Feng Juntian walked straight into his mother's room. Madame Lan was currently sitting in her room with a worried expression, wiping away her tears in front of the mirror. From time to time, she would wonder if her daughter was doing well and if she would starve. Her daughter had been spoiled since she was young and had never suffered. It was already very difficult for her to live alone. If she had to raise a child, wouldn't that be adding fuel to the fire? Chapter 181. Madame Lan cried as she worried. She couldn't stop her tears, and her handkerchief was so wet that it looked like it could drip water. Madam, you don't have to worry too much. Isn't young Miss already a student of Notre Dame du Starlight? I believe she can take care of herself. This woman who was busy comforting Madame Lan was no stranger to Feng Wu. She was Qing Lian, who had taken care of Feng Wu for a period of time. Because Qing Lian had been brought back by the Feng clan elder, she had managed to avoid the massacre of the village. Back then, the Feng clan elder had done this to let Feng Wu learn to be independent and change her spoiled temper. He hadn't expected that something would happen in the village that day. After Qing Lian found out that the village had been massacred, she cried with Madame Lan for a long time. Only when she confirmed that Feng Wu had arrived at Central City and had become a student of Notre Dame du Starlight did she truly relax. Qing Lian was right when Feng Juntian arrived. Qing Lian's eyes lit up when she saw Feng Juntian. Eldest young master, you're here. Hurry and persuade Madam. What if Madam continues crying like this? It'll hurt her eyes. Aunt Lien, you can leave first. I'll talk to Mother. Feng Juntian was very similar to the Feng clan elder. They both didn't like weak women, but his mother was a woman who was as gentle as water. In Feng Juntian's impression, his mother's greatest hobby was crying. When she was in a good mood, she would cry. When she was in a bad mood, she would cry. When she heard about sad things, she would cry. When she saw a tragic scene in a novel, she would cry. He remembered that when he was young, he had learned sword skills from his grandfather. At that time, he would be covered in wounds every day. His mother would always cry as she applied medicine for him. Later on, he was scared by his mother's tears and didn't dare let his mother see his wounds anymore. His grandfather always said that he hoped that his sister wouldn't be like his mother. Their Feng family's girls couldn't cry so easily. He had never understood why his father, who had grown up under his grandfather's teachings, would fall in love with a woman like his mother, who was like water. He had heard that the love between his father and mother had encountered some obstacles, but fortunately, his grandfather was not an inflexible old man. In the end, he had agreed to his parents' marriage. After so many years, his mother's heart was still as sentimental as a young girl's. However, his father didn't mind and liked his mother very much. As a son, Feng Juntian naturally couldn't raise any objections to his parents. After Qinglian left, Madame Lan seemed to have suddenly thought of something and stopped crying. Her eyes were red as she held her son's hand, looking a little emotional. Tian, what did your father say to you? Did I ask you to bring your sister back? Am I right? Am I right? Feng Juntian suspected that if he dared to say no, his mother would definitely start raining cats and dogs. Mother, I have something to ask you, Feng Juntian said expressionlessly with a stoic face. Madame Lan was stared at by her son's stoic face and forgot all her questions. What is it? This son of hers was usually taught by Feng Wuliu and Feng Tianqing. Feng Wuliu was afraid that she would teach his son to be a weakling who wouldn't be able to inherit the Feng family in the future. Thus, he had never allowed him to interfere with his son's education. In her impression, her son was very capable and could solve any problem by himself. If he couldn't solve it, he would only ask his father or grandfather. This was the first time she had heard that her son had something to ask her. This made Madame Lan instantly wonder if she had heard wrongly or if she had not woken up yet. Mother, I want to know how to make a man agree to marry a woman. In the Feng family, only his mother would be infatuated with those romance novels. Thus, in Feng Juntian's heart, his mother, who had read so many romance novels, should be able to tell him the answer. Ah! Madame Lan's eyes widened in shock. Could it be? Tian, you've finally fallen in love. Her voice changed because of her excitement. It's not me, I'm asking on behalf of a friend. He didn't dare to say that he was asking on behalf of Fengwu. He was afraid that his mother, who had an unusually strong mind, would think too much. Perhaps she would run to Notre Dame du Starlight to look for her sister if she couldn't figure it out. So that's how it is. How disappointing. I thought that Tian had reached the point where he wanted to find a girlfriend. She thought that Sun Mu was finally enlightened, but it turned out that she had been happy for nothing. Feng Juntian's mouth twitched imperceptibly. Mother, do you have any good suggestions? Your friend is a girl. Madame Lan finally remembered that her son's question seemed to be for a girl. But did her son have any female friends? It seemed that the younger sisters of her son's best friends counted. Could it be that those girls had their eyes on a boy but didn't know how to pursue him? Seeing his mother's eyes grow brighter and brighter, Feng Juntian could practically imagine what his mother was imagining. If that girl doesn't have any love experience, I strongly recommend this book, Chasing a Prince Charming 99 Times and this The Diary of a Chaser. These two books are currently the best-selling novels about girls chasing boys. If you still feel that it's not enough, you can also read this 101 Ways to Woo a Goddess. Although it's a textbook about chasing a girl, many of the methods in it can be used to chase boys as well. When your friend finishes reading these 3 books, she will definitely be able to handle that boy. I'll give the books to you and teach them to the girl so that she can read them slowly. Consider this a gift from Auntie. If you knew that these books were for your daughter, are you sure you would still give them to her? Feng Juntian thought silently in his heart. There's no need, Mother. She's not here. These books are sold everywhere. Let her go to a bookstore and buy one herself. Madame Lan had wanted to give the books to show her support for that girl, but she couldn't give it away. Helpless, she gave the books to her son, reasoning that her son might meet a girl he liked in the future. When that time came, he could use the methods described in the books to pursue that girl. Feng Juntian didn't know what to say anymore. He took the 3 books that he definitely didn't know how to read and went straight back to his room to contact Fengwu. After telling Fengwu the names of the 3 books, Feng Juntian heaved a sigh of relief. Although he knew that Xiao Wu was still too young and shouldn't fall in love and get married too early, he just couldn't say no to those clear eyes of hers. How come he never knew that Xiao Wu's eyes were so beautiful? Just one look from her was enough to melt his heart as an older brother. Meanwhile, far away in Central City, Feng Wu received Feng Juentian's communication request and found out the names of the 3 books from him. After Feng Wu hung up, she immediately left the little bun in Little White's care and went out to buy the books alone. Chapter 182. After buying 3 best-selling books from the bookstore, Feng Wu began a serious life of reading books. After memorizing all the methods to chase after a man and a woman mentioned in the books, Feng Wu began to worry again. Where was Senior Ming Shi? The coincidental encounters mentioned in the books included giving flowers. This was what she saw in the novel about chasing after a woman, giving precious jewelry. This was also what she saw in the novel about chasing after a woman, all kinds of compliments. This was also what she saw in the novel about chasing after a woman, and finding an opportunity to go through thick and thin with the other party. Finally, there was a plot that she saw in the novel about chasing after a man. Blocking a sword for the other party, novel about chasing after a man, not abandoning the male protagonist when he was in a difficult situation, this was needless to say, silent care and comfort, and many other methods that she saw in the books, how to implement when there was no male protagonist, asking for explanations, asking for help, and all kinds of other things. Feng Wu didn't know what to do, so she could only use the communication crystal that Ajur gave her to stop harassing her good friend, Xiao Wu. Ajur didn't expect that Xiao Wu would think of looking for him in just a few days after they separated. He always thought that with little Feng Wu's personality, even if they didn't contact each other during the holidays, she wouldn't have any reaction. Ajur, what should I do if I can't find Senior Ming Shi? Feng Wu looked at Ajur with a wronged expression. Her pitiful appearance made her look like some kind of small animal, making people want to stroke her fur. Ajur suppressed the urge to pat the girl's little head and seriously helped Feng Wu think about it. Then, he came up with a more reliable idea. Xiao Wu, go to the virtual realm. During the holidays, Senior Ming Shi might go home. When he's at home, he'll definitely go to the virtual realm to cultivate. You might be able to meet Senior Ming Shi there. In fact, Ajur was just guessing. He wasn't sure if Ming Shi had accepted a mission from the school or gone home. In order to stop Feng Wu from looking at him with such a wronged expression, he had no choice but to come up with this idea. At worst, if she didn't meet Ming Shi, he would say that the virtual realm was too big and let her search in peace. By the time she did that, the holidays would be over. This was a great idea. How could he be so smart? The virtual realm? How? Feng Wu blinked, her eyes filled with innocence. After teaching Feng Wu the way to sense the virtual realm, Feng Wu finally hung up the communication crystal, satisfied. On the other side of the communication crystal, Ajur sat silently at the head of the bed, staring blankly at the communication crystal. That heartless brat actually hung up on him. After learning the way to find Ming Shi, Feng Wu told Tianyu about it. Then, she handed the little bun over to Little White and ran into the room alone to sense the door to the virtual realm. The method Ajur told Feng Wu was very simple. As long as she emptied her mind and connected her mind to the sensory stone, she would be able to sense the door to the virtual realm. Then, her mind would leave her body and transform into another person to enter the virtual realm. When the other person formed by the mind went into the virtual realm, the physical body in the outside world would be protected by the sensory stone. If there was any danger, the mind would be forcefully pulled out of the door to the virtual realm. Although Ajur made it sound simple, the first time sensing the virtual realm was actually the most difficult. It required a lot of concentration. An average person would need a few hours to sense the door to the virtual realm. Some people would even need a day. Fortunately, this situation would only occur during the first time. After the first time, this situation would not occur again. In the future, as long as one's mind entered the sensory stone, they would be able to enter the virtual realm. Feng Wu followed Ajur's method and successfully connected to the virtual realm for the first time in just a few minutes. This was really an amazing result. If the teachers knew about this, their jaws would definitely drop. Although the time taken to connect to the virtual realm for the first time was different for everyone,
with some taking longer and some taking shorter, and most people would spend a few hours. Even the shortest known time to successfully connect to the virtual realm was half an hour. For someone like Feng Wu to connect to the virtual realm in just a few minutes was unheard of, let alone seen. When Feng Wu successfully connected to the virtual realm, she felt that her consciousness seemed to have entered a strange place. She came to a long crystal wall tunnel. In front of the tunnel was an open door. Behind the door was a white light, and it was impossible to see what was behind it. At this time, there were many people moving forward in the tunnel. Their goal was very similar. The door in front of them. Old 4, how's the mission? Did you complete it? Don't talk about it. I was unlucky and got killed. I wasted a mind power recovery potion to come back here. Don't let me find the bastard who shot me in the back. I'll kill him 10 times over if I find him. Aaliyah, you changed into a new outfit. It's so pretty. A girl's envious voice rang out. Of course it's pretty. This is the work of Master Ivan, one of the top 100 sewing masters in the virtual realm. How can it not be pretty? The girl said proudly. It must be very expensive. Of course, I spent a total of 500 gold coins to buy it. Do you want to form a party to kill a boss later? Of course, of course. Which boss? Su Wen-tai. Feng Wu followed the group forward with a poker face. Along the way, she kept hearing these words that she didn't understand. Feng Wu's face was still expressionless. In her heart, one word was written: dumbfounded. If Irene was here and heard these people talking, she would definitely cry out in surprise. This was the rhythm of an online game. When the group walked through the door, the scene in front of Feng Wu immediately changed. In front of her was a small village. The village was peaceful and quiet. A large group of people wearing coarse clothes like her came and went hurriedly in front of her. Feng Wu couldn't understand what was going on. Although she didn't understand what these people were doing, Feng Wu knew that she was now in the virtual realm. But how was she going to find Ming Shi? Before she knew it, Feng Wu stood at the entrance of the village in a daze for a full quarter of an hour. A beautiful girl with black hair stood alone at the entrance of the village. Passers-by would turn to look at her from time to time, trying to guess what this girl wanted to do by standing there. Mariana was the third daughter of the main branch of the family. She was extremely talented. She was a dual-element magician of the metal and fire element. This kind of talent made her highly valued in the family. Moreover, she had obtained a top-grade sensory stone, which allowed her to enter the virtual realm to improve her strength. She had only obtained the stone not long ago, so she spent her days in the novice village. To her, the virtual realm was a world full of challenges and unknowns. If it weren't for the fact that staying in the virtual realm affected her body in the outside world, she wouldn't have minded staying in there forever. Chapter 183. 5 minutes ago, she had just completed a mission from the village chief, which was to find his naughty grandson. As soon as she handed in the mission, she was attracted by Feng Wu, who was standing at the entrance of the village. Liana believed that her memory was excellent. She had done 2 tasks, but the girl was still standing here, which made her a little curious, so she approached Feng Wu to see what made the girl stand at the entrance of the village in a daze. Aside from the students of Notre Dame du Starlight, the only people who could come to the Mirage were the children of royalty and clans. The Mirage was a very good place to train people. Everyone who came here would work hard to improve their strength. Who would think of standing there in a daze? Hi, hello. Why are you standing here? Is there anything you need help with? I want to find someone, but I can't find him. Feng Wu lowered her head in disappointment. She was really stupid. Ajur had already told her how to find Ming Shi, but she still didn't know what to do. Feng Wu was really as stupid as the children at the foot of the mountain said. Find someone? The person you want to find is also a newbie? Miliana finally understood. This should be the girl's first time in the Mirage. She didn't know what was wrong with her parents. Why didn't they tell her about the Mirage? Newbie? What was that? Feng Wu looked up at Miliana. A newbie who just entered the ethereal plane not long ago.
This is the novice village. Only newbies below level 10 will mingle around here. If your friend isn't a newbie, then he should have already gone to the main city. If you want to find him, you can only look for him there. Miliana saw that she had just completed 2 missions and now had some free time, so she pulled Fengwu to a big rock at the entrance of the village to chat. He shouldn't be a newbie, Fengwu said uncertainly. If he isn't a newbie, then he wouldn't be in the novice village. If you want to find him, then work hard to level up. Alright, do you know how to level up? Miliana wasn't looking down on the girl, but she looked like a fool. No matter how she looked at it, she didn't seem like she knew anything about the mirage. Fengwu lowered her head, revealing a black head. This meant that he didn't understand. Miliana thought to herself and came to the conclusion that this was a shy and sensitive. My child. Seeing that Fengwu didn't know anything, Miriana kindly told Fengwu some basic knowledge and taught Fengwu how to open her backpack and check the beginner's guide in the backpack. Alright, you've understood everything you need to understand. If you don't, you can look at the beginner's guide. I'm going to do a quest. You should go and accept a quest as well. Hurry up and reach level 10 so that you can leave the village and find your friends in the main city. Alright, let me remind you, when you're doing quests, try your best to find quests that require you to kill monsters. If you want to do it, find a few more people. The monsters in this world are just as powerful as the ones in the real world. It's too difficult to fight them alone. Thinking about how powerful the monsters in the woods outside the village were, Miliana wanted to scratch her head. Those monsters were too powerful. Even if they gave more experience, she was just a level 5 noob. She couldn't beat those monsters. Her father also told her to challenge more monsters as it would be beneficial for her. Although she would not be thrown out of the ethereal plane after being killed by monsters in this world and would only respawn at the respawn point, dying at the hands of monsters would cause her to lose 1 level of experience. If she had not gone to challenge monsters several times and lost a few experience points, she would not have been stuck at level 5. The more she thought about it, the more miserable she felt. After exchanging names with Fengwu, Miliana ran back to the village to find an NPC to accept a quest. After parting ways with Miliana, Fengwu carefully read the beginner's guide. Finally, she had a general understanding of the mirage and knew what she should do. Fengwu looked up at the sky and made a decision. She wanted to level up. As the Fengwu girl secretly decided to level up and look for her husband, she didn't know that in 2 other beginners' villages, 2 of her acquaintances had also entered the mirage. Little Cheng, you're too amazing. You actually got a perception stone. This is great. We can also enter the mirage to train. Eve was dressed in a beginner's robe. She looked energetic and didn't look depressed at all after being given a major demerit. Yeah, little Cheng, you're too amazing. Although she didn't get a perception stone was still good. Rika also knew that her relationship with Zicheng wasn't as good as Eve's, so she didn't feel dissatisfied. It's nothing. It just so happened that my friend had a perception stone, so I bought it. Of course, Zicheng didn't tell the truth. The perception stone in her hand was exchanged with favorability points. In her favorability system, there was nothing good, so the points needed to exchange for a perception stone weren't very high. She exchanged a perception stone for herself and Eve. Eve was the first person she recruited after coming to this world, so she naturally treated her better. As for Rika, her favorability points with Rika had reached more than 90. If she worked a little harder, it might reach 100. That was why she exchanged a perception stone for her. As expected, after Rika got the perception stone, her favorability points increased by another 2 points. After her favorability points reached 90, it was really hard to increase. Until now, the only person who had reached 100 favorability points was Eve. Zicheng had already made up her mind. She was going to increase her favorability points in this mirage. As for Irene, she was currently doing guild business in a novice village. Her choice was the same as most people, which was to run some simple errands and quickly reach level 10. She couldn't wait to see the world outside the novice village. This mirage created by Longza Gamma.
She had to find out what was the difference between this virtual world and a holographic online game. Of course, the most important goal was to prevent the female lead from increasing her favorability points. Fengwu still didn't know that these 3 transmigrated girls from another world actually chose to log into the Mirage on the same day. Their future days were going to be interesting. The fates of these 3 transmigrated women from different worlds seemed to involuntarily intersect with each other. In this virtual world created by the transmigrated man, the arrival of these 3 transmigrated women, just what kind of a storm would it bring about? At this time, somewhere in the deep sea, a huge magic seal was suppressing the bottom of the sea. Dark demonic energy floated up and down in the sea.
It's here, it's finally here. The variable has appeared. Longzagama, how long do you think you can trap me? I'll be able to see the light of day soon. When that time comes, I'll definitely destroy the human world and wipe out the entire human race. Ha 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 ha. Chapter 184. Fengwu and the other 2 transmigrated girls didn't know that one of them had been targeted. The 3 of them were still doing their own quests. Fengwu arrived at the village chief's house. There were quite a few people accepting quests at the village chief's house. When Fengwu arrived, there was already a queue in front of her. In front of her, there were 5 people queuing up to accept quests. Respected village chief, is there anything I can do for you? A rather handsome young man dressed in a beginner's uniform looked at the village chief with respect. He had a fawning expression on his face. Young man, my family's pigsty needs to be cleaned. However, my wife and I are already old and can't do heavy work. We can only trouble you. The old village chief raised his wrinkled face and spoke to the man in front of him in a lethargic manner. The young man wearing the beginner's uniform twitched his mouth and silently cursed his bad luck. He rubbed his nose and admitted defeat. There were many quests that could be accepted in the beginner village, but most of them were limited. For example, Anna at the east of the village and Peter at the west of the village would only give out quests to each person 3 times a day. It was the same for the other families. The quests that they could help with running errands were also limited. It was impossible to do them indefinitely. The only quests in the village that didn't have a limit was the village chief's house. This made the village chief's house the most popular place in the entire beginner village. The quests that the village chief gave out were very simple, but also very troublesome. If it wasn't to clean the chicken coop, it was to clean the pigsty, it was to chop wood, do laundry, clean the house, and help the village chief find his playful grandson and lost cat and dog. While doing quests in the ethereal plane, one shouldn't think that doing quests in the game would be enough. The realism of the game was as high as 100%. The pain of being injured or killed was no different from the pain of being injured in the real world. Washing clothes, cooking, and cleaning really needed to be done by oneself. Moreover, it needed to be done well and clean well. If it wasn't done well and the natives were not satisfied, the quest would still be considered a failure. This was also why it was not easy to leave the beginner village. Those who could come to the Mirage were mostly talented or pampered young ladies and young masters who were spoiled at home. These people couldn't do the daily quests. Therefore, at the beginning, the success rate of the quests was very low. It wasn't until they got used to it that the success rate of the quests started to increase. After the unlucky man who was assigned to clean the pigsty walked away, the second person was also assigned to clean the chicken coop. The third person was moved up. Fengwu took advantage of this time to observe the environment of the village chief's house. It was an ordinary farmhouse. Although the house looked better than the other houses in the village, it was still filled with a rustic atmosphere. It was much worse than the houses in the central city. However, it was a little similar to the small village Fengwu used to live in. The people in front were still busy accepting quests. Fengwu's gaze moved to a slightly plump woman. When Fengwu saw her, she used appraisal and easily found out the woman's identity. The result of appraisal was that the woman was the village chief's wife. At this time, the village chief's wife had a worried expression on her face. However, the people in the courtyard acted as if they didn't see her. They were either accepting quests or giving out quests. The village chief's wife sat alone in the courtyard with a worried expression. Fengwu pursed her lips.
When she saw that there was only one person left, she moved in front of the village chief's wife and stared at her with her big black eyes.
Do you need help?
Fengwu felt that the village chief's wife seemed to be troubled.
She probably needed help, so she asked subconsciously.
When the village chief's wife heard Fengwu's question, her entire face lit up.
Yes, I really need help.
My new clothes were stolen by a fox outside the village. Those damn foxes hid my clothes on one of the foxes.
Can you help me get them back?
When the village chief's wife asked this question, Fengwu heard a voice in her ear. Respected adventurer, the village chief's wife asks you to help her find her new clothes that were stolen by a fox.
Will you accept?
Accept. Fengwu had heard from Miliana about the scene that would appear when accepting quests, so she wasn't surprised by the sudden appearance of this voice.
She calmly accepted.
Fengwu didn't notice that when she approached the village chief's wife, the people who came in with her to accept the quest were looking at her as if she was a monster.
What's wrong with that girl?
She actually dared to accept this damn quest.
She must be a newbie who doesn't understand the situation. If she knew what's going on, she wouldn't have jumped into the pit. She should have seen how many newbies the village chief's wife has tricked.
That girl is so pitiful.
I think she won't be able to level up for at least 3 days. The people lining up next to her all looked at Fengwu with pity.
Fengwu had just entered the ethereal plane not long ago, so she naturally didn't know that the village chief's quests were notorious for being a scam. In the past, there were some newbies who didn't know better who wanted to accept the quest, but after accepting it, they realized that it was impossible to complete. For example, the quest to find the new clothes stolen by the fox had been accepted by no less than 10 people. In the end, those who accepted the quest formed a team and ran to the fox's den to be slaughtered by a group of foxes several times.
Forget about the clothes, they didn't even get a single fox hair.
However, there was a deceptive setting in the virtual realm.
Once a player accepted a quest, they were not allowed to give up within 3 days. The village chief's wife's quest was even more deceptive.
Before the player completed or gave up on the quest, they were not allowed to accept any more quests from the natives. This setting was only discovered by those who had been deceived. They immediately cried until they almost fainted.
Could you be any more deceptive? Do you dare? Do you dare?
After so many seniors used their blood and tears to summarize the 4 biggest quests that couldn't be accepted in the beginner village, no one dared to go to the village chief's wife to accept a quest. From then on, one could see an auntie who looked like she was going through menopause, sitting there and sighing. No one would have thought that today, on this very day, a cute little black-haired loli would actually be fooled. Not only was she fooled, she even accepted this extremely dangerous mission. With the little loli's appearance, if she could complete the mission, they would be willing to twist their heads off and let her sit on it. After Fengwu accepted the mission, she saw a small line of words appear in front of it. During the duration of this mission, she could not accept any other mission issued by other mission issuers. The duration of this mission was, there was no time limit. If you want to give up the mission, please wait 3 days before applying. After Fengwu finished reading in silence, she walked out of the village to look for the fox.
Chapter 185.
The foxes outside the village were easy to find. On the grassland outside the village, there was a large group of foxes. At this time, these little foxes were lying on the grass one by one, basking in the sun. They all looked very leisurely and did not take these passing adventurers seriously at all. As for the adventurers, they all stayed far away from these little things and did not want to get close to them unless it was absolutely necessary. The monsters in the novice village would not take the initiative to attack unless an adventurer attacked them first. Otherwise, these little monsters would not take the initiative to hurt people. Although these little guys looked petite and cute, in fact, each of them had a strong fighting power. Not to mention a one-on-one fight, even if they teamed up to fight together, they would not be able to defeat these cute little guys. Fengwu walked alone to the territory of the foxes. Their appearance was similar to the common foxes on Earth. These little monsters were designed by Longza Gamer according to the animals in his memory. These little monsters were not real. They were not endowed with intelligence and were just the most ordinary low-level magical beasts. As soon as Feng Wu saw these little guys, she knew that she could not communicate with them because she could not feel their hearts. She wanted to find the village chief's wife's new clothes, which were hidden on one of the little foxes. Feng Wu took out the novice weapon given by the Mirage Lord, a rusty iron sword. She tried to poke the little fox with the iron sword. It was just a gentle poke, but it was like poking a hornet's nest. The little fox, which was lying on the ground basking in the sun and looked lazy, instantly turned from a cute little thing into a ferocious big monster. They all had fierce eyes, bared their teeth, and drooled. Their twisted hairy faces were full of murderous intent. The little foxes stared at Feng Wu with fierce eyes, their claws fiercely digging the ground a few times, and then they jumped toward Feng Wu to bite her. How painful it would be to be bitten by those sharp teeth. No wonder the people here would rather do those difficult tasks than to farm monsters. These monsters were really ferocious. With 100% realism, he believed that not many people would want to torture themselves and experience what it felt like to be bitten by a fox. Feng Wu brandished a sword, and a set of falling flower sword technique was used by her to perfection. Those little foxes that pounced on Feng Wu were unable to gain any advantage. The adventurers passing by in the distance were naturally very surprised when they saw this scene. No one would have thought that this black-haired little loli actually had such ferocious lethality. With a combination of the falling flower sword technique and windward willow leaf steps, those little foxes that took the initiative to attack were all taken care of by Feng Wu. A pile of copper coins, furs, and other materials fell on the ground. In the pile of materials, a woman's underwear was so obvious in the middle of the road. Feng Wu calmly picked it up, and a line of words immediately appeared in front of her. The quest has been completed. The adventurer can return to the village head's wife to complete the quest. Feng Wu's mood was very good as she put it back into her backpack, and went to find the village head's wife to receive the reward. Feng Wu's level, because of killing so many foxes, unexpectedly rose to level 3 all of a sudden. This could be considered to be leveling up very quickly. In fact, the people in the novice village all knew that killing monsters to level up was much faster than doing quests. But they couldn't beat those ferocious beasts outside the village, so what could they do? They could only watch those little magical beasts that were raised outside the novice village live freely. And they had to painstakingly help those natives wash the toilets, clean the chicken coop, and the pigsty. There was simply nothing more miserable than this. They didn't know that the ethereal plane was originally a place to train people. How could it really be like online games where the monsters were easy to kill and give them experience? In the ethereal plane, all the monsters were designed according to the real magical beast strength in the outside world. If they wanted to easily kill the monsters, sure, but they had to work hard to improve their strength. One day, they would be able to do it. At this time, Feng Wu didn't know that after she left, there were a few adventurers who didn't believe in heresy at the place where the foxes lived. They thought that those little foxes weren't as strong as the legends said. If they were really that strong, how could they be so easily defeated by a little girl? Unfortunately, those few people used their own personal experience to tell everyone what it meant to seek death. They saw those few guys rush into the group of foxes, and just as they released a skill, they were killed by a group of foxes and sent back to the resurrection point. Those few people who didn't believe in heresy at this time called out in their hearts. Why did they have to be so cheap? Didn't they see that others were hiding far away? Why did they have to be heroes? Not to mention how regretful those people were in their hearts. A super-realistic death experience was enough to make them suffer a lot. Those with a weaker heart would be so scared that they wouldn't be able to sleep for a few days. On the other hand, those who were watching from the side silently retracted their feet and patted their frightened little chests. It was too scary, wasn't it? It was too bloody. Fortunately, they were slow and didn't rush over in the first place. Otherwise, they would have been sent back to the resurrection point. Honorable adventurer, did you bring back my new clothes? The village chief's wife looked at Feng Wu expectantly and asked. Feng Wu nodded and then took out a piece of underwear from her personal backpack. This was the new clothes, newly made underwear, that the village chief's wife threw away. You're really too strong, honorable adventurer. I must thank you properly. Your swordsmanship is so powerful then I'll give you this sword. With this sword, your combat strength will definitely be stronger." The chubby village chief's wife smiled as she took out a black long sword. Fengwu received it expressionlessly, and then the sword's information appeared before her eyes. It turned out that this was a bronze-ranked long sword. It didn't have any other attributes, but it was much sharper than Fengwu's novice iron's word peak. However, this was enough for Fengwu. Fengwu received the weapon in a good mood and said thank you to the village chief's wife. "Honorable adventurer, my friend, Madame Luna, seems to have something on her mind recently. I think you should be able to help her. Can you help me see her?" The village chief's wife's chubby face smiled amiably. Fengwu nodded and said okay, then accepted the quest to find Madame Luna. If Irene was here, she would definitely shout. This was actually a chain quest. Generally, this kind of quest would have good things at the end. And while Fengwu was doing this, Irene and Zicheng were busy with their own quests. Zicheng lived in a world that didn't have such things as virtual online games. She wasn't the kind of person who liked to read novels, so she didn't know much about virtual online games. Although she didn't understand virtual online games, she had played some ordinary mobile games and web games. After entering this world, Zicheng felt that this world was somewhat similar to a game. Therefore, she had some guesses in her heart, but she still couldn't be sure. Chapter 186. As for Irene, she was now very sure that this was a virtual world created using the virtual world as a foundation. In her previous life, she was a gaming veteran. She had played some of the more famous games. Although she had never played a real virtual game, she had read quite a few novels about it. She didn't believe that with her many years of gaming experience, she wouldn't be able to find a hidden quest. At this moment, Irene didn't know that sometimes, gaming experience could mislead people. Just like now, she didn't do anything proper. Instead, she went around looking for some inconspicuous natives to curry favor with. In the end, after pleasing them for half a day, she didn't get any benefits. After working hard for an entire day without any benefits, she decisively gave up and obediently went to do quests. Irene was also a ruthless person. When she received the quest to kill monsters and find items, she also accepted it and successfully completed it. She received a bronze staff and a follow-up quest. Congratulations on reaching level 10. You can now head to the main city and begin your adventure. After turning in the quest for the nth time, Fengwu finally reached level 10. On the last quest, she received a silver grade sword. The sword was very beautiful and looked very powerful. Fengwu stored the silver grade sword in her storage space. In her hand, she still held the bronze sword she received from the village chief's wife. She successfully left the village after 2 days through the teleportation circle. That's right, Fengwu girl had already stayed in the novice village for 2 days. During these 2 days, she had been doing quests to kill monsters. Fortunately, although the chain quests were very difficult, the rewards were also very amazing. Not only were the rewards amazing, but the experience was also higher as the difficulty increased. It was because of this that Fengwu was able to reach level 10 in a short 2 days. She could leave the novice village and head to the new map. Through the teleportation circle, Fengwu and the other level 10 newbies were teleported to the main city, Shihua City. In the virtual world, there were 4 main cities: Donghua City, Nanhua City, Shihua City, and Beihua City. These 4 cities were equivalent to safe zones in the game. In these 4 cities, players could not attack anyone, or else they would be captured by the guards. During the teleportation, Fengwu didn't know which city to go to, so she randomly chose a city to teleport to. With a flash of white light, Fengwu realized that the place she was standing in had changed from an ordinary village to a bustling city. Come. Don't miss out on this opportunity. This is the genius alchemist's new creation, a top-tier recovery potion. It can instantly recover mana. Just 20 silver coins. Take a look. A defensive robe made by a famous master tailor in the Mirage. Only 20 gold per piece. I'll repeat myself 3 times. If you're interested,
Hurry up and make your move. Bronze-ranked items are on sale. A must-have for SMAF accounts. There's no need to worry about farming monsters. What are you waiting for if you don't get it now? Magical Beast Egg. Magical Beast Egg. Only 10 gold per piece. There's a limited supply. Hurry up and buy. Fengwu looked around curiously. She was extremely curious about this magical world. For a moment, she almost forgot that her main purpose in coming here was to find Ming Shi. After strolling around the bustling streets, Fengwu bought 5 steaming buns at the end of the street. After eating all of the meat buns, she rubbed her bloated belly, her face filled with satisfaction. After eating her fill, Fengwu finally found the Swordmaster Guild after asking a few kind-hearted natives. Newbies who came out of the novice village had to report to their own guild. There, they could receive a set of new clothes for level 10 and below, as well as a reward of 2 gold coins. In the end, the virtual world was different from holographic online games. The purpose of online games was to entertain and earn money from players, while the virtual world was to allow people to gain experience. Because of the difference in nature, there were naturally many differences. For example, in the virtual world, money from the outside world could not be brought in. It was unlike online games, where you could spend gold and ingots just by topping up your computer. Everyone in the virtual world had the same starting point. If you wanted money, you had to work hard to earn it. If you wanted to top up money, it was impossible. Fortunately, there were many ways to earn money in the virtual world. You could work to earn money, or you could go to the guild to accept quests. As long as you wanted to, you could always find a suitable method. After Fengwu found the Swordmaster Guild, she successfully reported to the Swordmaster Guild and received a new set of Swordmaster clothes, as well as a reward of 2 gold coins. Fengwu did not have much money on her at the moment. She only had 7 gold coins in total. 5 gold coins were earned from quests. Although it was only 7 gold coins, it was enough for food. In the virtual world, there was a hunger value. If the hunger value of the body of consciousness in the virtual world was too low, it would lose the ability to move. Because of this, the food industry in the virtual world had been developing very well. At the very least, there were adventurers who visited all the big and small restaurants every day. After changing into the new clothes, Fengwu directly left the Swordmaster Guild. Where could Senior Ming Shi be? A Jur clearly said that Ming Shi would be in the virtual world. After walking around the main city, Fengwu, who did not find anything, was extremely disappointed. She directly left the virtual world and used the communication crystal to contact a Jur again. A Jur, you said that Ming Shi would be in the virtual world, but I can't find him. Fengwu girl said, feeling wronged. The virtual world is so damn big. You've already searched everywhere? A Jur said. No. Fengwu lowered her head, feeling that she had done something wrong. It's fine. Wait for me. I'll ask Senior Elena. She should know where Senior Ming Shi is. A Jur could not bear to see Fengwu so disappointed, so he could only help her think of a way. Actually, according to a Jur's own thoughts, Ming Shi and Fengwu were really not a suitable couple. Ming Shi's status was too high. Fengwu was very pure and cute, better than all the girls he knew. But so what? With Ming Shi's status and family background, he would never marry a woman who had given birth to a child. Therefore, no matter how good Fengwu was, Ming Shi's family would never accept her. Because he had seen through this, he was not very enthusiastic about Fengwu's pursuit of Ming Shi. Although he would occasionally watch the show, he did not want to give her a hand. He did not want to make this friend who he had worked so hard to make disappointed and sad. But now, in order to make Fengwu not sad, he had to take the initiative to find out where Ming Shi was. No matter how unwilling he was, he had to go. He had promised Fengwu something. If he did not do it, that girl would be angry. He remembered that once he made Fengwu angry, and Fengwu did not speak to him for an entire week. If he had not apologized and agreed to many unfair terms, perhaps Fengwu would have directly given him a cold shoulder for a year. Chapter 187.
Since he had promised to help find Ming Shi, Ajur naturally wouldn't go back on his word in front of Fengwu. He obediently used the communication crystal to contact Elena, a permanent member of the Ming Shi team. After learning about Ming Shi's whereabouts from Elena, Ajur told Fengwu what he had found out. It turned out that Ming Shi hadn't entered the virtual realm. Instead, he had brought the second-year juniors out for training. The training location wasn't particularly dangerous. After all, it was the first time the second-year fellows had gone out for training. Naturally, they wouldn't go to a place that was too dangerous. Ming Shi was the chief student of the 5th year. As the chief student, he and another 5th-year student had brought 4 second-year juniors out for training. Before the training mission was completed, it was impossible for them to return. Of course, it was also impossible for them to enter the virtual realm. Hearing this answer, Fengwu was disappointed. Ming Shi had already brought the juniors out. It was already impossible for her to find Ming Shi. Ajur looked at Fengwu's disappointed little face and felt that it was strange. If anyone who knew him knew how he felt, their jaws would definitely drop to the ground. Who was Ajur? That guy had been a little devil since he was young. Among the aristocratic youths in Yenadu, he was the most difficult one to deal with. Who knew how many people had suffered at his hands? This guy had never been soft-hearted when it came to messing with people. You must be kidding me. Xiao Wu, do you want me to go to the virtual realm with you? Ajur took a deep breath and asked as if he had made up his mind. Actually, he also had a mission. As the inheritor of the 4 god seals, his time was very tight. Now, at home, he had to complete the missions that his father had assigned him every day and constantly improve his strength. According to his father, he hoped that he would grow up to be a qualified inheritor of the divine seal as soon as possible and not fall behind the other 3. That way, he would be at ease. It was a pity that his father was relieved, but Ajur did not feel relieved at all. Although he could endure the high-intensity training every day, he did not have much personal time. This made Ajur, who was used to being free, feel very uncomfortable. He missed the days when he was free in school. Really? Fengwu's mood instantly turned for the better. It's true, but I can't accompany you for too long. I can only accompany you for 2 hours a day at most. Is it okay for you to play by yourself during the rest of the time? To be honest, what he was most worried about was whether Fengwu would encounter a swindler and be cheated or something. The word dumb was written all over this girl's face. It would be strange if those swindlers didn't make a move on her. No problem. Fengwu nodded seriously and said. After the two agreed, they agreed on a time to go to the ethereal plane together every day. This was Ajur's first time going to the ethereal plane. In the past, he was still young, so his family did not allow him to enter the ethereal plane to gain experience. Now that he was about the same age and he had obtained a perception stone with his own strength, naturally, no one would stop him from going to the ethereal plane. However, before he went to meet up with Fengwu, he still had one more important thing to do, and that was to leave the novice village as soon as possible. Ajur was doing missions in the novice village to level up, while Fengwu was looking for work in Xihua City. Fengwu loved to eat, so money was more important to her. In the eyes of the Fengwu girl, money was equal to food. So, if she wanted to eat, money was a must. After circling the city once, Fengwu successfully completed 2 errands and a monster hunting quest. The 3 quests gave her a reward of 1 gold coin. Fengwu's favorite quest was still the monster hunting quest, because those monsters would drop a small amount of coins. Although it was not a lot, no matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. Fengwu happily put away the coins. Fengwu was in a good mood. She could buy a few more buns. She was in a good mood, and the stabbing of the sword in her hand became smoother and smoother. Fengwu was currently doing a quest, and it was a bandit-type quest. Fengwu was looking for a quest on the streets when she happened to see a bandit hunting quest posted on the wall outside the city lord's mansion. The quest required her to eliminate a group of bandits outside Xihua City. At this time, Fengwu was on her way up the mountain. On this small mountain surrounded by bandits, there were more than 50 humanoid monsters guarding it. It could be said that there was a sentry every 3 steps and a sentry every 5 steps.
They were keeping a close eye on her.
After surveying the terrain a few times, Fengwu chose a place with fewer humanoid monsters to break through. She wanted to kill her way in alone with her sword. Unfortunately, she had just started fighting when she ran into a familiar face.
Xiao Wu.
After a scream, a small figure wearing a swordmaster's robe jumped into Fengwu's arms.
Ting Yu. Fengwu's voice rose a pitch.
Even though she still had that stoic face, it was obvious that she was in a good mood because of the person who jumped into her arms.
Heavens, this is too much of a coincidence. I really didn't expect to run into Xiao Wu in the virtual realm.
Ting Feng quickly ran over and ruffled Fengwu's black and thick hair.
Fengwu didn't get angry and obediently allowed the siblings to do as they pleased. Xiao Wu, did you also accept a mission and come here to get rid of bandits? Pei Qing was also very happy to see Fengwu. He played with his hair elegantly with his fingers.
His long hair, which was originally dyed black, had turned into his original gray because of the influx of his spiritual power.
Yes. Fengwu nodded.
That's great, we can work together. Listen to me, little dance. The monsters in this world are just as crazy as the magical beasts in the outside world.
They can't be killed no matter how hard you try.
It's impossible for a single person to take down this group of bandits alone. It's just a dream. Tingyu was afraid that Fengwu didn't know how powerful these bandits were, so she immediately told Fengwu everything about how difficult and powerful the monsters in the virtual realm were. Of course, she also exaggerated some of her own performance.
Were they very powerful?
Fengwu blinked and thought carefully about the monsters she had defeated along the way. In the end, she came to the conclusion that they weren't particularly powerful. In Fengwu's mind, the powerful ones were those that she couldn't defeat or those that were on the same level as her. Those that were weaker than her weren't considered powerful. The 4 members of the expert team had gathered.
Only a juror was left.
Since Tingyu and the other 2 were accompanying them, Fengwu didn't feel bored. The 4 of them killed monsters all the way up the mountain.
During the process, they even took time to chat. Those who didn't know would think that they were on vacation.
Because there were 4 more people, the speed of killing monsters increased significantly. They didn't expect to meet another group of people halfway up the mountain. This group of people was frighteningly handsome and beautiful. Everyone was wearing equipment that was silver or above. It was obvious that this was a group of tycoons. Moreover, these people's levels should be very high. In short, it was impossible for them to be below level 20 like the 4 of them.
Chapter 188.
In the Mirage, one's level had little to do with one's strength.
A high level did not mean that one's strength was also high.
The benefit of reaching a high level was that one could explore higher level maps. There were many places in the Mirage that had level restrictions. Only those who had reached a certain level could go to more places. If one's level was not high enough, no matter how strong one was, it was impossible to go to higher level maps. Moreover, the higher the maps, the more benefits one could obtain. This was also the reason why there were so many people working hard to level up even though there was no relationship between level and strength.
It was all for the sake of changing maps.
Now that they had met a group of high-level adventurers, it seemed that they were like Fengwu's group, here to get rid of evil.
Pei Qing was wondering if he should take the initiative to greet them.
Now that the 4 members of their expert team were here, he was the only one who could take on the diplomatic role.
Tingyu and Ting Feng were careless people who wished for the world to be in chaos.
Fengwu was obviously a girl who was not good at socializing. How could he rest assured that such an important job like diplomacy would be handed over to the 3 of them? He did not want to draw a lot of hatred.
Fengwu? It's really you. You bad woman, why are you here?
Before Pei Qing could speak, a very unfriendly shout came from the group of adventurers opposite them.
Pei Qing was very unhappy.
Who was it? Who was so uneducated to dare to talk about his little sister Fengwu like that?
He looked over unhappily and saw a black-haired beauty in a magician's robe glaring angrily at Fengwu.
Her eyes were fierce and full of disgust.
Is that Xiao Wu? It's really you. Xiao Wu, where did you go?
Do you know how worried your mother was about you? A delicate black-haired figure holding a long sword stood next to the girl who had just spoken. From their expressions, it could be seen that the two of them had a good relationship.
Ting Ting, why are you paying attention to her?
When this bad woman is at home, she bullies you every day because she's the daughter of the first wife.
How dare you call her sister?
Qiu Ruoshui glanced at Feng Ting with disappointment, then turned to look at Feng Wu with even more dissatisfaction.
Xiao Wu, is she someone you know?
Ting Yu whispered into Feng Wu's ear.
In fact, she wanted to ask if they were enemies.
No. Feng Wu shook her head affirmatively.
You're actually pretending not to know me? Do you think we'll forget what you've done just because you pretend not to know me? You're dreaming. Qiu Ruoshui looked at Feng Wu with disdain.
She had a smug expression on her face that said, I've already seen through your scheme.
Xiao Wu, what did you do? Who is stopping you here to scold you? Ting Feng was very curious. With Feng Wu's character, he didn't think that Feng Wu could do anything that would make people angry. Ruoshui, don't talk about Xiao Wu like that. No matter what, Xiao Wu is my sister. Even if she's still my sister. Please stop talking about her.
Feng Ting looked at Qiu Ruoshui very seriously, as if to express her feelings.
She looked at Feng Wu from time to time. Her eyes were full of sympathy, as if Feng Wu had become a beggar now. Even if she was so. Pei Qing sneered secretly. This woman seemed to be more scheming than the one who shouted randomly. She didn't look like a fool who only knew how to shout randomly. She gave birth to a child out of wedlock and was kicked out of the Feng family because she was pregnant with a wild man's bastard. She's no longer the daughter of the first wife of the Feng family. Why are you still so polite to her? Calling her sister, she's not worthy. She's just a bitch. Qiu Ruoshui's mouth was poisonous. Ruoshui, don't be like this. Xiao Wu must have her difficulties. Feng Ting looked at Feng Wu and then looked at Qiu Ruoshui with some embarrassment. Her beautiful face was full of embarrassment. She's originally... Clap clap. Don't get me wrong. This was not applause. As the two sounds of clapping disappeared, a black-haired girl in blue lightly flew back to Pei Qing and others. You bitch, how dare you hit me? Qiu Ruoshui screamed in disbelief. Her eyes were full of grievance and resentment. She, Qiu Ruoshui, was the treasure of the family since she was born. Since she was young, the family didn't even dare to lay a finger on her. Today, she was hit by a bitch, which made her feel wronged and deeply humiliated. Feng Wu, you bad woman. You're still as bad as before. You even dare to hit Ruoshui. One of the three boys who had been standing aside and didn't speak finally spoke. Ning Fei looked at Feng Wu angrily. He was very angry at Feng Wu's behavior of hitting people. Feng Wu was indeed a bad woman. She used to bully those girls who liked the team leader. Now, she even dared to hit the team leader's sister. She was simply too bad. Apologize to Ruoshui immediately. If you don't blame me for hitting a woman. Lu Zong also spoke angrily. If it weren't for the fact that Feng Wu was an ordinary person who couldn't cultivate, he would have raised his sword and killed her out of the virtual world. Only the last man in a golden robe didn't move. His eyes were slightly lowered, and there was a flash of light in his eyes. When Qiu Ruoshui angrily rushed to provoke Feng Wu because she saw her, Jin Li noticed a problem. As a waste of both magic and dou qi, it was impossible for Feng Wu's spiritual force to connect to the virtual world. But at this moment, she really appeared. When Qiu Ruoshui was slapped, he found a more important problem. Feng Wu could slap Qiu Ruoshui, who was not weak, twice in the face when the five of them didn't have time to react. In the end, she still escaped unscathed. Although it was because they didn't set up any defense, it was enough to show that she could already cultivate and had a high strength. What happened? Why did a waste that everyone thought of suddenly become so powerful? Naturally, no one would answer Jin Li's question for him. Because Feng Wu's sudden attack directly led to the atmosphere of mutual hostility between the two sides. Apologize. Are you kidding? This woman inexplicably scolded Xiao Wu when she saw her. She even scolded her so harshly. Xiao Wu hit her well. She was hit so well that she cried out. Umph. After that, he snorted coldly at Qiu Ruoshui, whose cheeks were obviously swollen. Ruoshui is telling the truth. You don't know how bad and hateful this woman is. She used to bully Tingting with her identity as the daughter of the first wife. She also used the status of the Feng family to bully people everywhere. Scolding her is a light punishment. It's better to kill such a hateful person like her. Ning Fei glared at Feng Wu with hatred. His ferocious look seemed as if he couldn't wait to rush up and tear Feng Wu apart immediately. Bully. Feng Wu would bully people? With her character, it should be good if she wasn't bullied. Were these people really talking about the same Feng Wu as the one they recognized? Could it be that they recognized the wrong person? Pei Qing and the other two really suspected that the guy opposite them made a mistake and recognized the wrong person. Chapter 189. Let's not talk about whether or not they recognized the wrong person. Right now, both sides were talking back and forth and their eyes were filled with murderous intent. It looked like they were about to fight. Don't apologize. She's a bad person. She scolded me and Bao Bao. Feng Wu looked at Qiu Ruoshui and the others with a firm expression. Her eyes even had a bit of accusation. That gaze made Qiu Ruoshui's teeth itch. Xiao Wu, I'm sorry. Ruoshui didn't mean to scold you. I'll apologize on her behalf. But no matter what, you shouldn't have hit people. Ruoshui is Ruobai Gij's little sister. You like Ruobai Gij so much, how could you bear to hurt the family he cares about? Feng Ting's words seemed to want to ease the conflict between the two sides, but it had the opposite effect. Qiu Ruoshui, who was already extremely angry, was about to go crazy when she heard her brother's name. She's worthy of liking my brother. She really doesn't know her own name. My brother is a genius magician. She's trash in both magic and martial arts, yet she dares to like my brother. She thinks she's amazing just because she's the Feng family's legitimate daughter. Let me tell you, in my eyes, you're just a trash. You're vicious and unlikable. Even Juntian Gij doesn't like you. If I were you, I wouldn't have the face to live in this world. You've already lost so much face, yet you still dare to live. Your skin is really thick. Thinking of her brother Qiu Ruobai, he was the most talented person in their Qiu family, yet he was targeted by a trash. This was simply an insult to her brother. Every time she thought of this matter, she regretted not taking advantage of the time when Feng Wu was still in the Feng family to find an opportunity to teach her a lesson. You like her brother? Ting Feng looked back at Feng Wu in shock. I don't know him. Feng Wu shook her head with a stoic expression. The Feng Wu girl expressed that she completely didn't understand what the other was saying. What brother? Liking? Bullying? What did all of this mean? Xiao Wu, how could you not know brother Ruobai? Didn't we grow up together? Feng Ting covered her mouth in shock, her eyes filled with disbelief. Ting, why are you saying so much to her? This bad woman only knows how to bully you when she's in the Feng family. Don't worry about her. Let us get justice for Ruoshui first. Ning Fei pulled Feng Wu behind him and pulled out the long sword in his hand. The tip of the sword was pointed at Feng Wu. Apologize, or I will kill you. Ning Fei glared at Feng Wu with hatred. That's right. Apologize immediately. Otherwise, you'll get it. Lu Zong chimed in from the side. The two's eyes were very unfriendly. It seemed that they were ready to attack. Looking at the two's appearance, even if they didn't kill Feng Wu, they definitely wouldn't let her go. Because the degree of realism in the virtual world had reached 100%, one could feel the real pain if they were injured here. If they deliberately hurt Feng Wu, it wouldn't be fun. What kind of ability are you two bullying a woman? If you have the ability, fight with us. Pei Qing pulled Ting Feng and stood in front of Feng Wu. Come on, brother Pei Qing and stupid brother. You must hold on. Ting Yu took out a small white handkerchief from somewhere and waved it as she cheered. Stop waving it. If I didn't know,
I would think that you're holding up the white handkerchief to surrender." Ting Feng couldn't stand it and roared. She still called him stupid. His sister was clearly the stupid one. Ting Yu thought about it and it seemed to be true. So she put away the white handkerchief and took out a red one. She continued to cheer and her good mood wasn't affected at all. "Come on. Come on. Brother Pei Qing is stupid. Ting Feng, come on." Feng Wu was speechless. Ning Fei and Lu Zong were speechless. "You have to think clearly. Is it wise to be enemies with us for such a woman?" Thinking that the two of them were deceived by Feng Wu, Ning Fei also wanted to persuade them to think clearly and not do stupid things for a crooked tree. "It's you two who should think clearly. Do you really want to fight with us for that stupid woman?" Ting Feng picked her ears and glanced at Qiu Ruoshui with disdain. "You're kind but unrewarded. How dare you speak ill of Ruoshui? Today, I must teach you a lesson on behalf of Ruoshui." The Ning family, like the Feng family, was an aristocratic family with a 1,000-year-old inheritance. In such a family, the sword skills collected were not a small number, and their grades were not low. As the young master of the Ning family, Ning Fei's sword skills were of a very high grade. Ning Fei used the sword skill of the intermediate sword skill and used all his strength. He was determined to kill Feng Wu and others out of the virtual world. As for Feng Wu's opponent, it was actually Ting Feng. Ting Feng blocked this move with a backhand sword, and then she was entangled with Ning Fei. The two of them fought back and forth with considerable strength, which surprised the people on Qiu Ruoshui's side. They thought that these people were just nobodies that Feng Wu cheated from somewhere. They didn't expect that one of them actually had the strength equal to Ning Fei. Although Ning Fei's strength was not the highest among them, it was by no means low. Coupled with the Ning family's 1,000-year-old combat experience and superb sword skills, it was completely impossible for a sword master without any foundation to win against him. But now, this young man, who was not in their eyes, had the strength to surprise them. How could this not surprise them? Feng Ting slightly lowered her eyelids, and the hand holding the sword tightened. She didn't expect that after being kicked out of the Feng family, she would still be able to make such a powerful friend. This young man was able to fight evenly with Ning Fei, so he must be a descendant of an aristocratic family. Otherwise, with the Ning family's 1,000-year-old inheritance, it would be impossible for an ordinary sword master to block his attack. How could Feng Wu's luck be so good? Thinking about herself, in order to obtain Feng Juentian's love and Qiu Ruobai's friendship, she schemed everywhere, deliberately angering Feng Wu many times to raise her own image. It wasn't easy to make everyone think that she was a girl who constantly strived to improve herself. Even if she was suppressed by her jealous sister, she was still a strong and hard-working girl. In order to obtain Qiu Ruobai's good impression, she even tried every possible means to become friends with the bad-tempered Qiu Ruoshui, enduring her bad temper everywhere. She did so much, wasn't it just to replace Feng Wu's position? When Feng Wu unexpectedly got pregnant, she thought that Feng Wu was dead for sure. Grandfather didn't like her, and her father didn't put much thought into her. Her mother was also a person made of water who only knew how to cry every day. Feng Juntian also didn't have much sibling affection for her. She thought that Feng Wu's death was a foregone conclusion. She never thought that the entire Feng family would plead for Feng Wu with her grandfather, and in the end, Feng Wu would die. Although Feng Wu was sent away, as long as Madame Lan was still here, Feng Wu still had a chance to come back. She couldn't touch Madame Lan, but Feng Wu had to die. As long as she died, she could become the Feng family's only young miss and no longer have to live a lowly life as a concubine's daughter. Chapter 190. She finally followed the people her grandfather sent and found the village where Feng Wu was. After Qinglian and the others left, she bribed a group of fierce bandits to rob the village. She thought Feng Wu was dead this time. She didn't expect to hear from her grandfather that Feng Wu was still alive. How could her life be so tough? She escaped death twice. Now, not only was she alive, but she also knew a few friends who didn't seem to be simple. Why could Feng Wu get what she wanted so easily, but she had to scheme everywhere? Was it just because Feng Wu was the daughter of the first wife?
She refused to accept it.
Except for being the daughter of the first wife, she was inferior to Feng Wu in every aspect.
She would not lose to Feng Wu.
Feng Wu, as long as I, Feng Ting, am alive, you can forget about returning to the Feng family.
Don't even think about it in this lifetime.
Qiu Ruoshui and the others didn't know that the strong and independent girl in their eyes had such deep hatred in her heart.
All their attention was now attracted by the two people who were fighting. Lu Ning saw that the two were in a stalemate.
He pulled out his sword and wanted to rush over to help. Unfortunately, he was stopped by a magic staff when he just gathered his duki and rushed over.
Don't mess around. Your opponent is me.
Pei Qing had long been on guard against someone coming to help.
The moment he saw Lu Zong make a move, he had already held his magic staff in his hand.
You're courting death.
Lu Zong naturally wouldn't be polite to Pei Qing. He slashed his sword at Pei Qing without mercy.
If he was hit, he would be directly killed out of the virtual world.
The sword was very fast.
The Lu family's swordsmanship had always been famous for its speed. If you wanted to break the Lu family's swordsmanship, you could only use your strength to resist unless you were faster than them.
Sure enough, under the gaze of Qiu Ruoshui and the others, Lu Zong's long sword directly cut Pei Qing's head and split him in half.
Lu Zong, you're awesome.
Qiu Ruoshui shouted happily.
Unfortunately, this joy did not last long. Lu Zong's expression changed, and he quickly turned around to block the attack.
Seeing this, Qiu Ruoshui and Feng Ting realized that Lu Ning did not hit Pei Qing.
It was just an afterimage. Originally, Lu Zong's speed was very advantageous in the battle, but he was unlucky.
He just had to face a space mage.
Who could be faster than a space mage? Pei Qing was different from ordinary magicians. Not only was his magic level not low, but he had also seriously studied martial arts for a period of time. Everyone knew that a magician's weakness was that he couldn't let his opponent take advantage of him. However, this weakness was not a problem for Pei Qing. Whether it was long-range attacks or close-range attacks, he should be able to handle them with ease.
This person is very powerful.
Not only is he a rare space mage, but he has also learned martial arts well. With his martial arts combined with magic attacks, Lu Zong is definitely not his opponent, Jin Li said faintly after watching for a while.
Brother Li, are you just going to watch and not do anything? Qiu Ruoshui was so anxious that she stomped her feet. She did not want her friend to lose to Feng Wu's people.
Don't worry.
He won't really die anyway.
Jin Li stood aside silently and began to play dead.
If you don't care, then forget it.
I'll do it myself. Glaring at Jin Li, Qiu Ruoshui rushed forward with her magic staff. Feng Ting had no choice but to follow with her sword.
Xiao Wu, tell your friend to stop.
Don't make mistakes again. Feng Ting looked at Feng Wu with heartache.
The words that came out of her mouth were to push all the blame to Feng Wu.
He.
Didn't you say that you're Xiao Wu's elder sister? Is there an elder sister like you?
It's fine if you don't help when your younger sister is being scolded by a woman, but Feng Wu has avenged herself and you still want Feng Wu to apologize to her.
Now it's even funnier. You're actually pushing all the blame to Xiao Wu. Who do you think you are? I've already recorded who's right and who's wrong with the impression stone. Do you want to find someone else to judge? Ting Yu held a small white stone in her hand and proudly shook it.
Originally, she had been recording with the image stone because she wanted to record the four of them killing the bandits.
She didn't expect that she would record a good show. Feng Ting's face turned pale.
She really did not expect that Feng Wu's people would have such a trick up their sleeves. If what she did today was seen by her father, Madame Lan, and her grandfather, they would not forgive her. In her grandfather's eyes, no matter how bad Feng Wu was, she was still a member of the Feng family and the legitimate daughter. She, a concubine's daughter, did not help her own people in front of outsiders.
Instead, she helped Qiu Ruoshui.
No matter what the relationship between the Feng family and the Qiu family was, in her grandfather's eyes, she was already a traitor.
Qiu Ruoshui's face also changed. She also did not want this video to be spread.
The Feng family and the Chou family were old friends. The two families had been friends for thousands of years. Even if she looked down on Fengwu, she would never dare to say a bad word about her in front of the elders of the two families. At most, she would use some tricks behind her back to teach her a lesson. If this video was spread out and the Feng family and her elders saw it, then she would be in big trouble. Hand over the impression stone, Fengwu. I haven't seen you for more than a year. You've become so despicable and shameless. You even use such a dirty trick. Chou Ruoshui was so angry that she scolded. You'd better pay attention to your image. I'm still recording here. If you piss me off, I'll sell the image in the impression stone to the Virtual Realm Daily News. Let's see what you can do. Tingyu was not afraid of her. She pointed the impression stone at Chou Ruoshui and recorded happily. Although the Virtual Realm did not have a forum for all adventurers to communicate, there was a Virtual Realm Daily News. The Virtual Realm Daily News was founded by the Aborigines, but the concept of the newspaper was proposed by Longza Gamer. When Longza Gamer created the Virtual Realm, he created such a newspaper in the Virtual Realm. The Virtual Realm Daily News did nothing but pay attention to all kinds of gossip about adventurers and Aborigines. If they sold the news to the Virtual Realm Daily News, not only could they take revenge on these two annoying women, but they could also make a small sum of money. Why not? Don't you dare. Chou Ruoshui was so angry that her face turned green. Try me. Tingyu did not care at all. Instead, she continued to provoke her without fear of death. Ting, do it. We can't let this impression stone leak out. Chou Ruoshui was very anxious. After exchanging a look with Feng Ting, the two of them attacked Tingyu from the left and right. Tingyu was not easy to deal with. She took out her weapon from the space and fought with the two women. However, these two women, one was a swordmaster and the other was a magician. One of them attacked her from afar and the other from close range. It was still very difficult for her to deal with. Fortunately, she was not in a difficult situation for too long because Fengwu made her move. Fengwu used the 5th and 6th forms of the Luo Ying sword technique consecutively. She immediately lured away Chou Ruoshui, who was helping from afar. Chapter 191. Chou Ruoshui was a wood and water dual-element magician. Her strength was not bad. She was also a well-known little genius among the aristocratic ladies of the ancient eastern country. Unfortunately, her reputation as a genius didn't get through many battles. Compared to Fengwu, who fought with animals on Mount Yuehua every day, she naturally lacked a lot of battle experience. Everyone on the continent knew that most magicians had small long-range abilities. Once someone got close to them, they wouldn't be able to use any tricks no matter how many tricks they had. Originally, a magician wouldn't let someone get close to them so easily. However, Chou Ruoshui didn't put Fengwu in her eyes. In her eyes, Fengwu was a good-for-nothing in both magic and qi. If Chou Ruoshui was born on Earth in the 21st world, she would definitely know a phrase called the counterattack of a good-for-nothing. Unfortunately, this girl didn't know. It didn't matter if she didn't know. However, this girl thought highly of herself and despised Fengwu's predecessor from the bottom of her heart. In the end, this girl didn't think that Fengwu would pose any threat to her, so she didn't put up any defense against Fengwu at all. With Fengwu's 2 consecutive sword moves, the magic staff in Chou Ruoshui's hand was easily sent flying. This simply stunned everyone's eyes. The people on Chou Ruoshui's side didn't expect that a good-for-nothing in both magic and qi could defeat Chou Ruoshui. This was King unscientific. Regardless of whether it was scientific or not, Chou Ruoshui had already lost. Moreover, she had lost to someone she had always looked down on. This failure was countless times greater than losing to her own brother and a group of her brother's friends. It directly made Chou Ruoshui stare at her hands blankly, completely unable to recover. Until now, she still couldn't believe that she had lost to a 2-element good-for-nothing. Jean Li, who hadn't made a move, frowned slightly when he saw this scene. He walked over with his long legs, picked up the magic staff that Fengwu had knocked down, and put it back in Chou Ruoshui's hand. Stop fighting. Jean Li's voice was very calm, but there was an irresistible meaning in it. Ning Fei and Lu Zong were used to listening to Jean Li when their captain and vice-captain were not around. Naturally, they carried out Jean Li's orders immediately. The two of them quickly left the battlefield and flew back to Jean Li's side. Pei Qing and Ting Feng only raised their eyebrows, put away their weapons, and returned to stand beside Feng Wu. Ting Yu and Feng Ting had also stopped and returned to their respective teams.
No.
This was impossible. You can't practice magic or do qi. How could you possibly be my opponent? This is absolutely impossible. It was not until everyone returned to their respective teams that Qiu Ruoxue recovered from the blow of losing to Feng Wu just now. She screamed and pointed her magic staff at Feng Wu, her eyes filled with hatred and panic. That's enough. Let's go back to the city. Jean Li frowned secretly. Both sides were the sisters of his good friend. Even if Feng Wu was not as favored as Qiu Ruoxue in the Qiu family, he didn't want these two to really fight in front of him. Are we just going to let them go? Ning Fei was still very unconvinced and didn't want to leave at all. Their equipment and weapons were clearly much better than theirs. If they fought for a long time, Feng Wu's people might not be a match for them. But now, they had to retreat without a fight, which was unacceptable to Ning Fei. Tisk. Ting Feng heard the words and snorted disdainfully. What was this? Who wouldn't let go of who? Ting Yu was naturally on the same side as her brother at this time. A pair of big eyes stared over impolitely, and her small face pretended to be fierce and made a strange grimace. She must be Juentian's sister. What else do you want? The implication was that even if he didn't give face to the monk, he had to give face to the Buddha. I don't want this kind of sister. After fiercely glaring at Feng Wu, Ning Fei said fiercely. Although his mouth was fierce, he had already put away his weapon. It seemed that he had thought it through. No, we can't just let it go. She slapped me twice. Should we just let her go? Qiu Ruoxue was very unconvinced. She had never been slapped since she was a child. If they just let Feng Wu go, where would she put her face as the legitimate daughter of the Qiu family? You also scolded her for so long. You didn't lose anything. Jean Li saw it clearly from the beginning to the end. This matter was stirred up by Qiu Ruoxue from the beginning. Feng Wu's side didn't want to pay attention to it at first. If Qiu Ruoxue didn't speak more and more harshly, the following things wouldn't have happened at all. Brother Jean Li, whose side are you on? Why are you helping this bitch? Qiu Ruoxue didn't expect Jean Li to say this at all. Her whole face turned blue. I won't help anyone. Jean Li's reaction was still indifferent. Take her away. Ruobai is still waiting for us. Let's not do this mission for now. In any case, they were doing this mission to pass time and wait for Qiu Ruobai to come up and find them. Now that the time was almost up, Qiu Ruobai should be arriving soon. Naturally, there was no need to continue doing this mission. Wait a minute, Brother Li. We have to get the impression stone back. Right now, it didn't matter whether they fought or not. The most important thing was the impression stone. This impression stone couldn't be leaked out. If it was seen by the Feng family, she would be in big trouble. Feng Ting was extremely anxious in her heart, but it couldn't be seen on her face. Qiu Ruoxue thought that Feng Ting was concerned about getting the impression stone back for her and was secretly moved. She never thought that her best friend was only doing this for her own position in the Feng family. It doesn't matter if you don't get it back. Do you really think that they would dare to leak the contents of the impression stone if they aren't afraid that their good friend's past will be dug out by everyone? Jean Li faintly smiled and said as if he had a card up his sleeve. Ting Yu coldly snorted and turned her head away from them. Although she didn't want to admit it, she really didn't plan on leaking the impression stone. There were many Notre Dame du Starlight students in the virtual realm. If the contents of the impression stone leaked out, although Qiu Ruoxue's reputation would be damaged, Feng Wu's matter would definitely be brought up as well. She naturally wouldn't do such a stupid thing that would harm the enemy by 1,000 and harm themselves by 800. The reason why she took out the impression stone was only to anger the two women. who knew that there would be a smart person in the other party who saw through all her concerns. Feng Ting was originally a smart girl. Just now, she had been disrupted by the sudden incident. Now that she was reminded by Jean Li, she naturally figured out the crux of the matter. Her originally worried heart finally settled down. "Let's go." After Jean Li finished speaking, he led the way down the mountain. Of course, the few people behind him also followed. However, before they left, whether it was Qiu Ruoshui, Ning Fei, or Lu Zong, they all fiercely glared at Feng Wu and the people around her before they left. Only Feng Ting had a hesitant expression when she looked at Feng Wu. After glancing at Feng Wu awkwardly, Feng Ting also left. Suddenly, only Feng Wu's group of 4 were left on the entire mountainside. Chapter 192. The wind blew, and the grass swayed in the wind. The leaves rustled, and the sun shone warmly on their bodies, brightening their moods. After the last strike, a line of words appeared in front of the 4 of them. Extermination mission completed. Adventurers, please return to Xihua City to complete the mission and receive your reward. After the 4 of them killed the bandit leader, they received a number of gold coins, weapons, and materials. It was a bountiful harvest. After they went down the mountain and completed the mission, the 4 of them split the loot and wanted to find a place to have a big meal. Although the 4 of them weren't rich, the hotels and restaurants in the virtual dimension weren't too expensive. They had just made a small fortune from the mountain bandits and received the mission reward when they handed in the mission. Although their wallets weren't too big, they weren't too flat either. They could afford to go to a restaurant and have a big meal. The 4 of them chose a restaurant that looked decent and went in. They asked the waiter to bring them to a private room on the 2nd floor. The 4 of them ordered a table of dishes and were ready to eat. While waiting for the dishes, the 4 of them naturally chatted. "Xiao Wu, when did you come to the virtual dimension?" Ting Yu asked curiously as she held Feng Wu's hand. 3 days ago." Feng Wu thought about it expressionlessly. It seemed like it had been 3 days. "Then we came earlier than you. We've been here for 7 days. I didn't expect that we would be so fated to meet in the same city in the virtual dimension. There are 4 main cities in the virtual dimension, and there's a 1 in 4 chance of meeting each other. We really are fated," Ting Feng said. "Xiao Wu, aren't you curious as to why we have the Sensor Stone?" Pei Qing saw that Feng Wu had not asked this question, so he decided to lead Feng Wu to ask first. "Mission reward," Feng Wu said matter-of-factly. Pei Qing almost spilled the tea in his hand, and Ting Feng choked on her own saliva. Ting Yu's jaw almost fell to the ground. The 3 of them looked at Feng Wu in disbelief. When did Feng Wu have the ability to predict the future? They hadn't seen each other for a while, but she knew so clearly what they hadn't talked about. This was too godly. "You. How did you know?" Ting Feng stuttered. "Ajur told me," Feng Wu girl said seriously. Boss Ajur was already so godly? Or was it that the captain had been paying attention to them? It turned out that the captain cared so much about them. He even knew that they had completed a mission and obtained 3 high-level sensor stones. He was too amazing. As expected of the inheritor of the 4 god seals. The 3 of them didn't think that this was actually a beautiful misunderstanding. When Feng Wu and Ajur had talked about the sensor stone, Ajur had said that the sensor stone was rarely sold. If one wanted to obtain a sensor stone, it was usually obtained through completing a mission. In school, other than the elementary sensor stone that was given out at the beginning, if one wanted to obtain a higher-level sensor stone, they could only obtain points through the school's missions. Once they had accumulated a certain amount of points, they could use the points to exchange for a better sensor stone. As for how good the sensor stone was, it depended on how many points you had. In other places, like the royal family and a few large families, the sensor stones were distributed in a similar way. So when Pei Qing asked Feng Wu why they had obtained the sensor stone, Feng Wu said that they obtained it from completing a mission. In fact, she didn't finish her sentence. What she meant was that they exchanged it for points through completing a mission. Because Feng Wu didn't explain clearly, Pei Qing and the others misunderstood. The three of them thought that Ajur was actually still concerned about them. It had to be said that this was a beautiful misunderstanding. Captain actually cares about us so much. Even after returning to school, he has always been watching us. Ting Feng used her sleeve to wipe her tears. She had an indescribably moved expression on her face. Captain is too good. If we knew that he was so concerned about us, we would have gone to Notre Dame du Starlight to see him early on.
Ting Yu also pretended to be moved. Who is concerned about you guys? You're thinking too much. By Ajur. I used to think that Captain didn't want to pay attention to us. It turns out that I misunderstood him. Pei Qing had an expression of, I was wrong, on his face as he lowered his head and repented. Ajur, you're really thinking too much. Hurry up and go to bed. Feng Wu, what happened? Just then, the dishes were served. A large table of fish and meat was laid out on the table. The four of them chatted while eating, and soon forgot about Ajur. Xiao Wu, let me tell you, we were really lucky this time. Grand Duke Arnold's grandson actually went missing. He used 3 high-grade sensor stones as a reward to post a mission in the Adventurers Guild. At the time, there were hundreds of people who accepted this mission. We were really lucky. We actually met the human trafficker who kidnapped Grand Duke Arnold's grandson. That person wasn't very skilled and was sent flying by my idiot brother with a kick. That human trafficker was also unlucky. He confessed that he was just an ordinary person. A few days ago, someone hid a child in his house and gave him a lot of gold coins. In the end, that person didn't come to him for the child, so he had evil intentions. He wanted to sell the child for a sum of money. At the time, Grand Duke Arnold's grandson had already been changed into a commoner's clothes by that kidnapper. That's why the person who wanted to sell the child thought that it was just an ordinary child. If he knew that it was Grand Duke Arnold's grandson, he wouldn't have dared to do that even if he had 10 guts. After that, we easily rescued the child and even received 3 sensor stones as a reward. Aren't we very lucky?
The three of them spoke one after another about how they obtained the sensor stones.
Feng Wu listened quietly as she ate, nodding her head from time to time.
After the meal, Ting Feng and the other 2 left the ethereal realm because they had other matters to attend to. Feng Wu, on the other hand, continued to wander around the ethereal realm. After a round, she ran out of the city to look for trouble with those humanoid monsters. Compared to beast-shaped monsters, Feng Wu preferred humanoid monsters because beast-shaped monsters reminded her of her animal friends. She didn't think too much about humanoid monsters and didn't hesitate to kill them. Her efficiency was much higher than killing beast-shaped monsters. That girl is so powerful. She can actually kill so many humanoid monsters by herself. Not far away from Feng Wu, 2 boys and 3 girls happened to be looking in Feng Wu's direction. One of the girls even pointed at Feng Wu and exclaimed in surprise. The 3 girls were second-year students in the Notre Dame du Starlight's pharmacy department. They didn't have strong combat abilities, so the first thing they did after arriving in the ethereal plane was to find some strong men for them to rely on. The 3 of them were originally beauties, and with the Notre Dame du Starlight signboard, they actually found some spendthrifts who were willing to help them level up.
Chapter 193.
The 2 boys behind them were attracted by their status as Notre Dame du Starlight students and their beauty.
What's so great about her? She's at least 30 years old.
It's not strange for her to have such strength at such an age, another girl said with jealousy and disdain.
I don't think so. She looks like she's only in her teens, the last girl said weakly. You idiot. Can't she use a prop?
There are many props in the virtual world that can change one's appearance. I don't believe that a girl in her teens can fight so many humanoid monsters alone. Don't underestimate a woman's jealousy. Some women hated someone for no reason.
Stan, do you think that person used a prop? I don't believe that her real age is what it looks like. The man named Stan looked at Feng Wu and then at the little beauty in front of him.
There were indeed many props in the virtual world, but other than some masks that were easier to see through, the rest were not so easy to see through. He really couldn't tell whether the girl in front of him used a prop or not.
It's hard to say.
If she used a high-level prop, then it wouldn't be visible to the naked eye, Stan said after some consideration.
Wait a minute. Why do I feel like I've seen this girl somewhere before? One of the girls suddenly said. What are you talking about, Nania? You've seen her before?
Mei Li, who had been suspecting that Feng Wu had used a prop to change her age, frowned and asked. At the same time, she thought to herself that Nania actually found that girl familiar. Could it be that she was also a student of Notre Dame du Starlight? Thinking of this, the jealousy in her heart deepened. If she was really a student of Notre Dame du Starlight, then her age couldn't be faked. As a genius, Mei Li used to be in existence in her family. However, when she came to Notre Dame du Starlight, she realized that her vision was still too low. There were too many geniuses in this world. Every student of Notre Dame du Starlight was a genius. Mediocre people couldn't enter Notre Dame du Starlight. However, there were differences between geniuses. For example, after entering Notre Dame du Starlight, Mei Li was reduced to an ordinary person. Only those who surpassed most people could still maintain their genius title. Probably because she couldn't keep her title as a genius, she didn't know when it started, but Mei Li started to dislike those who had better talent than her. Even if she was a girl, if someone had better talent than her, she would always think of ways to mess with them. All of the genius girls that Mei Li had taken a fancy to had their reputations ruined by her. Outside, there were rumors that those girls bullied others and looked down on other students because of their talent. Only a small number of people knew that all of this was an illusion created by Mei Li and her little friends. Could she be from our school? Marcy asked doubtfully, coincidentally voicing out the suspicions in Mei Li's heart. The only two men present had the same expression as they kept their mouths shut. They were also curious about the girl's identity. Although powerful girls were not rare in the Mirage, it was rare to see such a young age.
Ah! I remember now, isn't she that Feng Wu? Nania slapped her head and finally remembered Feng Wu's identity. Feng Wu? Ah! It's that Feng Wu. It can't be, the three of us are so lucky to be able to meet her even though the Mirage is so big. It really is her. I've seen her from afar once before. If Nania hadn't mentioned it, I would have almost forgotten that there was such a person. Is she really your classmate? The boy named Sherdan curiously approached the three of them and asked. She's also a second year? Another boy named Sai Ban was also curious about this question. Mei Li snorted coldly and glanced at the two boys who asked the question. Where did such a shameless woman come from in our second year? This woman is in her first year, a new student who just entered this year. So she's a freshman, but she's really amazing. A freshman with such strength, I'm afraid that she's definitely one of the best among the freshmen. No wonder you all know her. It seems like she's quite famous in your school. The two boys thought they understood each other. What nonsense are you talking about? Mei Li rolled her eyes at the two of them. She is very famous among the freshmen, but that is not a good reputation. Don't look at her young age. She is the only student in our school who has already given birth to a child. That's not all. She's already the mother of a child, and she's still going around seducing men. She's in our student cafeteria, and she confessed her love to the 5th year's chief, Senior Ming Shi. I don't know where she got her face from. Furthermore, after being rejected, she became braver and braver, and kept pestering Senior Ming Shi. Last time, Senior Ming Shi and the others went to the Soya Empire to train, but in the end, I don't know where that Feng Wu heard about it, but she actually shamelessly chased after him, and pestered Senior Ming Shi all the way to the two-realm battlefield. She's really too shameless. The three girls began to criticize Feng Wu one by one. Some of these were things they heard from other sources, and some were their own guesses. Ming Shi's appearance was as beautiful as the moonlight, and his temperament was even more elegant and noble. In addition to the various guesses about his true identity in the school, Ming Shi had always been the dream lover of most of the girls in the school. Mei Li and the other two naturally admired Ming Shi, but unfortunately, a perfect and outstanding man like Ming Shi was too far away from them. It was probably because they couldn't get him that they hated Feng Wu so much when they saw a woman like Feng Wu,
who was already a mother, shamelessly chasing after Ming Shi.
Fengwu didn't know that she was hated by others again. The Fengwu girl was now very happy killing monsters. Every monster would drop a small amount of money. Being able to level up and pick up money, there was nothing more delightful than this. Steamed buns, delicious steamed buns. As Fengwu killed monsters, she thought about going to the city to buy steamed buns, and also some chicken drumsticks. Because she had entered the virtual world, Fengwu naturally couldn't bring many of the delicious food stored in her ring into the virtual world. Therefore, she had no choice but to work hard to make money to buy delicious food in order to fill up her spatial bag. While Fengwu was happily killing monsters, Mei Li and the other two were using a messenger familiar to inform someone about Fengwu. Half an hour later, Fengwu had already picked up many scattered copper coins. How many steamed buns could she buy with so many copper coins? Fengwu frowned, and began to recall how many copper coins she had picked up. Chapter 194. Big Sister, can you bring me along? I don't know how to level by myself. A soft and cute baby voice suddenly sounded behind Fengwu. Fengwu instinctively turned around and saw a girl around her age looking at her with a red face. Her expression was shy and at a loss. Carry her? If that girl could read minds, she would definitely see the question marks in Fengwu's heart. How do I carry her? Where do I take her? The Fengwu girl's expressionless face perfectly concealed her ignorance. Where do I take you? Fengwu asked. Girl, she's doing this on purpose, right? Can you carry me to level up? I want to reach level 20 as soon as possible, but the monsters here are too strong. I can't deal with them alone. The girl's voice was full of grievance, and her eyes quickly reddened. From afar, it looked as if Fengwu was bullying her. No. Fengwu didn't even need to think before giving the answer. Originally, the girl thought that Fengwu would at least consider it. Who knew that Fengwu didn't even need to think before giving the answer? Big sister, I won't take advantage of you. I'll help you pick up bags. With me here, you don't need to stop picking up bags anymore. You can directly kill monsters. This way, it'll be much faster. The girl's baby voice carried a hint of urgency. No need. Fengwu still shook her head. If you want to level up, you can go to the city to do other quests. If you're not strong enough, it's best if you don't come out. Otherwise, you'll be a burden to others. Fengwu looked at her seriously for half a minute. After saying these words in a deadpan manner, she left without looking back. Don't go. You can't just leave like this. The girl looked at Fengwu's departing figure and was so angry that she stomped her feet. She couldn't maintain the cute expression on her face. Unfortunately, Fengwu did not pay any attention to her. She left the place where she had been farming monsters for over an hour and returned to the city. Not long after Fengwu left, Mei Li and the other two appeared. Behind Fengwu and the other two, a peerlessly beautiful woman walked out. Beside the woman, there was also a cute young girl with a confused look on her face. The young girl's eyes were filled with innocence and purity. She looked very spirited, giving people a good impression of her at first glance. Senior Diane, I'm sorry, I failed. Her intuition is too strong. The girl who asked for help immediately said carefully when she saw the beautiful girl behind Messi. Her attitude was humble and fawning, and there was even a flattering smile on her face. It's not your fault. I'll think of another way to deal with her. The beautiful Diane's red lips parted slightly, as if she didn't care at all. Big sister, what are you talking about? The confused young girl opened her bright eyes wide in curiosity. She looked as cute as a little rabbit. When the beautiful woman heard the young girl's voice, her originally cold face suddenly melted like snow. There was even a hint of a gentle smile on her face. Nothing much, Diane. Nicole just wanted a classmate to help her level up, but that classmate rejected her. Diane said casually. Oh. Diane nodded.
Her little face with some baby fat looked even cuter. That person doesn't love her classmates. Why don't you come with us to level up? Diane thought of Nicole being rejected and felt a little sorry for her, so she kindly extended an invitation. Nicole's face stiffened when she heard this. She immediately shook her head. No need, no need. I still have things to do. Next time, Miss Diane. Let's go, Diane. Big sister just saw a necklace that suits you. Wear that tribute necklace. The next time you see Ming Shi, you'll definitely charm him to death. Diane teased. Big sister, I'm not talking to you anymore. Diane shyly stomped her foot and ran away with a red face. You did well this time. These 3 pieces of silver equipment are your reward. With a wave of Diane's hand, 3 silver staffs flew out and were delivered to Mei Li and the other 2. Thank you, Senior Diane. The 3 of them happily accepted Diane's reward, their faces filled with excitement. Nicole, try to get close to him again. If you still can't succeed, come find me again. After Diane finished speaking, she chased after her younger sister and left. Feng Wu was completely unaware of what had happened after she left. Not long after she returned to Huaxi City, a Jur came to the Mirage. Surprisingly, other than a Jur, Elena was also there. Feng Wu, big sister hasn't seen you in a while. You're getting cuter and cuter. As soon as Elena saw Feng Wu, she rushed up to Feng Wu and gave her a bear hug. Those well-developed breasts buried Feng Wu's entire face. Feng Wu's face was flushed red, and she looked a little pitiful. In the end, a Jur couldn't stand it anymore and rescued her. Senior Elena, please don't bully Xiao Wu. A Jur didn't hesitate to save Feng Wu, and he even scolded his senior sister for her insolence. Stingy. Elena snorted softly, but didn't say anything. She just pulled Feng Wu's hand, and the 3 of them walked into a decent-looking restaurant, ready to eat and catch up. Xiao Wu, you have to be careful when you're alone. Although the Mirage isn't a real world, there are still many dangers for us. In this world, if we're injured by the same adventurer, we'll be forced out of the Mirage, and our spirit will be greatly damaged. When that happens, even if we have spirit recovery potions, it'll take a long time for our spirit to recover. You have to be careful. Don't be so gullible as to believe what others say. If someone asks you for money or something, don't give it to them, okay? They're not good people. As Elena had a good impression of Feng Wu, she couldn't wait to pass on some of her experiences to Feng Wu as soon as she sat down. Feng Wu sat next to Elena obediently. Elena was in charge of talking, and she was in charge of nodding. A Jur asked Feng Wu about her experiences in the Mirage. Feng Wu didn't hide anything, and told a Jur everything that had happened. From meeting the other members of the expert team, to meeting that strange group of people, to a strange person who ran out not long ago and asked to be taken along, she told him everything that she could. Pei Qing and the others are here, too. They even got an advanced sensory stone. They're really King lucky. A Jur thought that he wouldn't be able to hear news about Pei Qing and the others for a while. He didn't expect news about them to come so quickly. Do you know who those people are? They dared to cause trouble for Feng Wu and even dared to attack her. No matter who they were, he would definitely teach them a lesson. A Jur swore to himself. At this moment, Qiu Ruoxue, who was crying to her brother, suddenly shivered. What's going on? Her back was cold. Chapter 195. Feng Wu shook her head innocently. I don't know them. I don't like them. Feng Wu's animal instincts told her that she did not have a good impression of them. Got it, a Jur sneered. Tell me if you see them again. I'll help them loosen their muscles. Feng Wu nodded obediently, indicating that she would do as she was told. Xiao Wu, if someone asks you to carry their level in the future, you mustn't agree. Our main goal in the Mirage is to train ourselves. If you carry them, you won't be helping them. Instead, you'll be hindering their development, Elena said worriedly to Feng Wu. I know. I won't carry them, Feng Wu said. Oh right.
Why didn't you carry that girl? Since when did Fengwu become so smart? She actually knew how to reject other people's attempts to take advantage of her. Elena was pleased to see that Fengwu had grown a lot after not seeing her for a while. However, she soon realized that she was overthinking things. The Fengwu girl was still the same girl. She had not grown at all. Big brother Pei Qing said that we didn't come to the Mirage to play. We're here to train. If we want to become stronger, we have to rely on ourselves. We can't rely on others, and we can't let others rely on us, Fengwu said honestly after thinking about it. In reality, Pei Qing had not said all this because he had such high awareness. Instead, he was afraid that Fengwu girl would be taken advantage of when they were not around. That would be very bad. That was why he had said all this in advance. He did not want others to see Fengwu's naivety and take advantage of her. Pei Qing himself probably did not expect that his words would be effective so quickly. He had even helped Fengwu avoid a plot against her. Elena and Ajur did not expect that Fengwu had suddenly become so smart because Pei Qing had already spoken to her. The two of them simultaneously gave Pei Qing a thumbs up in their hearts. This guy was quite reliable sometimes. Elena did not stay in the Mirage for too long. She left after meeting Fengwu and the others for a meal. Just as Pei Qing had said, they still had to rely on themselves to train in the Mirage. So, Elena did not plan to help them level up. That would not fulfill their purpose. Ajur stayed behind and brought Fengwu to fight monsters. Since he knew that Fengwu liked small animals and preferred fighting humanoid monsters over animal monsters, Ajur directly brought Fengwu to a place with more humanoid monsters. The monsters in the virtual realm didn't have any intelligence. They were only endowed with fighting instincts. All their actions were controlled by the master god of this world. Fengwu and the others didn't feel guilty about killing humans when they fought. It was just that this world was too realistic. The strength of the humanoid monsters ranged from beginner swordmaster to advanced swordmaster. It was no different from fighting people in the outside world. In this world, it was not easy to fight 10 humanoid monsters at once, unless you had super strength that surpassed everyone else. This was also why Mei Li and the others felt disbelief and jealousy when they saw Fengwu sweeping through so many humanoid monsters. Ajur and Fengwu's levels were still low, so they could not go to high-level maps. They could only level up in this beginner's map. The levels of the monsters in the beginner's map were not high. Moreover, for people of Fengwu and Ajur's strength, they were not difficult to fight. However, there was no training effect. If they really wanted to improve their strength in battle, they could only go to higher-level maps and fight with stronger opponents. Fengwu and Ajur had always been good friends. Ajur even treated Fengwu as his own child. So, when the two of them fought monsters, their efficiency was very high. Their experience rose rapidly. At this rate, it would not be long before they could unlock a new map. In the Mirage, players would be able to enter a new map every 10 levels. The real experts had already gathered in the high-level maps. Those who would hang around in these small maps were not the best of the best. With entering a new map as their goal, the two of them quickly spent an hour grinding monsters, earning a lot of experience. If they continued at this rate, they might be able to enter a new level 20 map very quickly. Unfortunately, perhaps the heavens did not want them to live too peacefully. They had actually arranged for 2 people to disturb their leveling journey. Big Sis, so you're here. That's great. Nicole has met Big Sis again. Big Sis, do you want to level up with Nicole? Nicole promises to be very, very obedient. I'll help you pick up your bags and I won't run around. Okay, that's right. The person who suddenly appeared and acted cute towards Fengwu was Nicole, who had been pestering Fengwu not long ago. Xiao Wu, when did you have a little sister? Ajur's lips curled into a sneer as he asked in a seemingly casual manner. I don't have a little sister. Fengwu looked at Nicole seriously before shaking her head. Isn't she your big sister? The man who came with Nicole was clearly of a rather high level. He was at least level 20. As they were unable to use Inspect on someone who was 10 levels higher than them, Fengwu and Ajur were naturally unable to determine the level of this man who came with the woman who called herself Nicole.
At that moment, the man, who seemed to be of a higher level, was looking at Nicole and Feng Wu in confusion. His rugged face was filled with confusion. He did not seem to understand why one of them kept calling Nicole Big Sis, while the other refused to admit that they were sisters. Big brother, are you saying that if I call you Big Brother now, you'll really become my big brother? Ajur sent a humanoid monster flying with a kick as it tried to ambush him. That makes sense. The boorish man nodded. He actually seemed to agree. He recalled that the girl in front of him also seemed to call him Big Brother. It seemed that Nicole and her black-haired sister really were not related by blood. Nicole did not expect that the helper she had found would not help her at this crucial moment. Instead, he was dragging her down. She secretly gritted her teeth. If she had known this would happen, she would not have brought such an idiot along. If it weren't for the fact that he was the highest-leveled person she knew, she would not have bothered with this kind of man who was not handsome at all. Nicole was a standard beauty lover. She was only interested in good-looking men. Big sis, can you grind with us? Big brother Anston is really strong. With him around, we can level up even faster. Nicole looked at Feng Wu eagerly, her eyes flashing with a glimmer that made one unable to refuse. This is Big Brother Anston, right? You don't mind bringing us 2 burdens? Ajur raised his eyebrows. This Anston was clearly an expert. Why would such a person want to help a SMAF level up? You don't have to be so humble. I already saw your strength from afar. When I was your age, I did not have such skills. How can this kind of strength be called a burden? Anston waved his hand, looking at Feng Wu and Ajur with a hint of admiration. Chapter 196. Nicole's expression changed slightly. She didn't bring Anston here to make friends with them. Since no one has any objections, then it's settled. The 4 of us will level up together. With Big Brother Anston leading us, we'll be able to reach level 20 in no time. Nicole looked into the distance with a yearning look. Ajur didn't say anything else, tacitly agreeing to Nicole's suggestion. This Nicole had always wanted to get close to Feng Wu. He wanted to see what this woman was up to. Don't think that you'll be fine just because you have an expert with you. If you pissed me off, I'll teach you a lesson. Anston was indeed an expert. He killed the monsters cleanly, without the slightest bit of sloppiness. It was obvious that he was a veteran of the battlefield. Anston was indeed a veteran of the battlefield. He was originally a freelance mercenary and had always completed various missions alone. He was considered a relatively famous figure in the freelance mercenary world. Because he was a loner, he had encountered several life-threatening situations when entering and exiting dangerous places. In these dangerous situations, Anston's strength and combat awareness had improved significantly. Feng Wu and Ajur naturally didn't object to the addition of such an expert. However, they really didn't know what Nicole was doing in the virtual realm. After joining with Anston, she didn't do anything other than pick up items. Occasionally, she would be chased by monsters and had to be rescued by Anston several times. Ajur was speechless about that woman. Such a stupid woman really opened his eyes. In his opinion, even Eve and Rika, whom he didn't think highly of, were better than this woman. At the very least, no matter how bad their personalities were, they still knew how to help when it was necessary. They wouldn't be like this, always thinking of others to protect them. After fiercely despising Nicole in his heart, Ajur took the fruit from Anston. There wasn't much edible meat in this small map made up of humanoid monsters. Even Anston, the oldest brother, could only find some fruit for Feng Wu and the others to eat. Although he didn't want to admit it, this guy called Anston had a good character. He killed monsters when they needed to, and even took the initiative to find food for everyone to eat when they needed to replenish their stamina. Feng Wu took the fruit and took out 2 meat buns from her storage space. She started eating them in small bites. Her eyes lit up when she saw the meat buns. Sister Feng Wu, Nicole also wants to eat meat buns. Can you give me one? Nicole looked at Feng Wu pitifully, as if she would cry if Feng Wu rejected her. Feng Wu swallowed the bun in her mouth and looked at Nicole. Her oily lips gently spat out 2 words. No. Nicole didn't expect her to reject her so bluntly. Shouldn't she be giving the meat bun to her for the sake of her image? Wasn't this woman afraid that the man beside her would think that she was petty? Sister, can you really not give Nicole one? Nicole really wants to eat meat. Her voice became more and more aggrieved. Actually, she just wanted to cause trouble for Fengwu. It would be best if this beautiful red-haired man beside her hated her, Nicole thought maliciously. As expected, Anston couldn't stand seeing her so pitiful. Sister Fengwu, why don't you give one to Nicole? When we return to Xihua City, Brother Anston will buy you a lot of meat buns to eat, okay? He spoke to Fengwu in a negotiating tone. He didn't express any dissatisfaction with Fengwu. From Anston's point of view, it was just a matter of meat buns. Unfortunately, before Anston could finish, the last meat bun was eaten by Fengwu. Don't underestimate Fengwu's eating speed. Nicole and Anston were speechless. Brother Anston, I really want to eat meat. Nicole acted coquettishly and stared at Fengwu accusingly. Anston was having a headache, but he couldn't bear to disappoint a gentle girl like Nicole. He could only look up at Fengwu, hoping that she would take out another meat bun. You really want to eat meat that much? Fengwu ignored Anston's gaze and looked at Nicole seriously. I really want to eat. Nicole pouted, her voice filled with unspeakable grievance. I know. Fengwu slowly got up and walked to the side of a humanoid monster. She killed it with a single slash of her sword. Nicole smiled triumphantly in her heart. Brother Ajur, does Sister Fengwu hate me? Nicole didn't do it on purpose. Can you help me explain to Sister? If worst comes to worst, Nicole won't eat meat. A pair of beautiful eyes stared at Ajur pitifully, looking extremely wronged. Nicole always knew how to use her looks to her advantage. She had completed an extremely difficult chain mission to obtain a permanent disguise item. She had created such an adorable and invincible face for herself. She knew all too well which expression of hers could arouse a man's pity the most. Ajur ate his fruit in silence, ignoring Nicole. Anston coughed awkwardly and took big bites of the apple in his hand. Huh? What is Sister Fengwu doing? Nicole suddenly realized that Fengwu was squatting beside the corpse of a humanoid monster. She was holding a short sword and waving it around. No matter how she looked at it, it was very strange. Ajur and Anston heard her and turned to look. Sure enough, they saw Fengwu squatting beside a corpse. They didn't know what she was doing. Sister Fengwu, don't be angry. Nicole didn't mean to make you angry. Nicole quickly ran over and shouted softly as she ran. She was just there to watch the show. Nicole thought that Fengwu had come here to abuse the corpse to vent her anger because she wasn't as popular with men as she was. Of course, she had to come and watch this kind of joke to her heart's content. Since Fengwu dared to refuse her, she would make Fengwu be hated by all men. Later, she would try her best to seduce that handsome man, Ajur. She didn't believe that with Ajur's looks, he would like a woman who had given birth to a bastard child. When the time came, as long as he discovered her charm, she would be able to make him grovel at her feet. The more Nicole thought about it, the more beautiful it became. Sister Fengwu, what are you doing? Anston walked over with Ajur. Ajur was also a little curious, but his instincts told him that it was better for him not to know. Which part do you like? Fengwu didn't answer directly. Instead, she turned her head and looked at Nicole. Her pink lips parted slightly. This couldn't be what they were thinking, right? Nicole's expression changed drastically. She looked at the humanoid monster's corpse on the ground that looked exactly like a real person. Her face suddenly paled, and she retreated 3 meters away from Fengwu. Chapter 197. You actually want to eat human flesh? Nicole screamed. You were the one who said you wanted to eat meat. Fengwu's expressionless face said confidently. This person was so strange.
She was clearly the one who wanted to eat meat, wasn't she?
There wasn't any beast meat here, and the only ones with meat were these humanoid monsters. That was why she wanted to get meat from these monsters for her to eat. She had already thought of a way to satisfy her request, so why was she still unhappy? With Feng Wu's simple mind, she probably wouldn't have thought of it if no one told her. No one would happily accept someone's offer to eat human flesh. Cough, Xiao Wu, isn't this a bit too extreme? Even a juror, who was used to being arrogant, had never thought of eating human flesh. But now, in front of her, Feng Wu, who had always been an innocent girl, could actually ask her which part she liked without batting an eyelid. Ah! Who taught Feng Wu to be like this, bastard? Get the hell over here. I promise I won't beat you to death. That's right, that's right. Feng Wu sis, this is human flesh, not beast meat. Anston was about to burst into tears. You really couldn't judge a book by its cover. Who would have thought that such a cute girl would want to eat human flesh? As expected, this world was too scary. It was better for him to return to the real world. This is just a monster, not a real person. Feng Wu looked at the three people seriously and said calmly. As she spoke, she tried to cut a piece of meat from the humanoid monster with her sword. Unfortunately, a line of words appeared in front of her when she cut. This is a humanoid monster. Cutting and dismembering is not allowed. P.S. It's wrong to eat humans. You can't be so extreme. Feng Wu was silent. She put her sword back into the space. Seeing the weapon in Feng Wu's hand disappear, the others finally let out a sigh of relief. Even if this isn't a real human, no normal person would want to eat it just by looking at it. Can you eat it? Anston said frantically. Nicole, who was hiding furthest away from Feng Wu, nodded her head furiously. Not bad, not bad. This woman actually wants me to eat human flesh. It's too scary. She's not a normal human at all. If I had known, I wouldn't have volunteered to approach Feng Wu. Nicole was crying in her heart. I'm not eating it. It's for her. Feng Wu shook her head and pointed at Nicole. Of course, Feng Wu wouldn't eat it. She had only thought of trying to get some meat from the humanoid monster after seeing how much Nicole wanted to eat. Who knew that the meat couldn't be cut off at all, so she could only give up. I don't want to eat meat. I don't want to eat meat. I want to eat fruit. Fruit is good. It can replenish energy and is good for the skin. I will eat fruit. I won't eat meat anymore. Nicole was afraid that Feng Wu would really stuff a piece of human flesh into her mouth. As she spoke, she picked up the apple that hadn't been touched much and started eating it in big bites. Those who didn't know would think that she had been starving for several meals. Nicole was probably frightened by Feng Wu, so she became much more well-behaved after that. She didn't run around to lure monsters to save her, nor did she make some self-righteous requests. She only looked at Feng Wu from time to time like she was looking at a monster, as if she was afraid that Feng Wu would rush over and eat her. While Feng Wu was killing monsters and leveling up in the virtual world, Madame Lan was wiping her tears as she sent her son off at the entrance of the Feng family mansion. Tian, you have to bring your sister back. Your sister is too pitiful. You have to bring her back, okay? Madame Lan urged again and again, worried. Mother, don't worry. Big brother will definitely bring Xiao Wu back. Feng Ting had a decent smile on her lips as she stood obediently to the side. Madame Lan only glanced at her indifferently. She didn't say anything else. Feng Ting lowered her head sadly, looking a little pitiful. Feng Juntian saw this scene and frowned slightly. He wanted to say something to his mother for this stepsister of his, but he remembered that it wasn't easy for his mother either. As a junior, he didn't have the right to say anything bad about his mother. After Feng Juntian repeatedly promised that he would bring Feng Wu back, Madame Lan finally let him go. Feng Ting watched as Feng Juntian left. Feng Ting wanted to help Madame Lan in, but Madame Lan ignored her outstretched hand. She wiped her tears as she silently walked into the Feng family mansion. Feng Ting lowered her head, feeling wronged. The servants around her sympathized with this young miss born of a concubine, but so what if they sympathized? Who told her to come from a dishonorable background? It was normal for Madame Lan to dislike her. Didn't they see that even the family head and master didn't care about her? Besides, Madame Lan was only a little cold to Miss Feng Ting. She didn't hit or scold her, and she didn't even deduct her monthly allowance. Compared to the other families that oppressed their daughters of concubines, this Madame Lan was already considered very kind. No one noticed that the moment Feng Ting lowered her head, the resentment in her eyes almost materialized. What was wrong with her? She was 100 times more outstanding than Feng Wu, prettier than Feng Wu, and more popular than Feng Wu, but Madame Lan had always been cold to her. No matter how she tried to curry favor with her, it was useless. As expected, if they weren't biological mother and daughter, no matter how hard she tried, she wouldn't be able to gain Madame Lan's affection. Fortunately, after her hard work since she was young, Feng Juntian still liked her very much. Madame Lan's daughter, Feng Wu, wasn't close to Feng Juntian at all. She still had a chance. She had to firmly grasp Feng Juntian's heart. She had to become Feng Juntian's most beloved younger sister. She stood there silently for a moment. When she raised her head again, it was that kind and strong Feng Ting again. Ting Ting. Feng Ting was about to return to her room when she heard someone calling her. She turned around and saw that it was her good friend, Qiu Ruoshui. Qiu Ruoshui was also a frequent guest of the Guan family. The servants didn't stop her and she easily entered the Feng family mansion. Ruoshui. Feng Ting smiled. She looked very happy that Qiu Ruoshui had come to find her. Ting Ting, I saw Brother Jun Tian walking towards the transportation array just now. Where is he going? Qiu Ruoshui had just brushed past Feng Juntian when she arrived. However, the two of them were quite a distance apart, so they didn't talk. Let's talk in my room. The two girls held hands and walked towards Feng Ting's room. Although Madame Lan didn't like Feng Ting, this concubine's daughter, she had never mistreated her materially. No one could find any fault with her. Feng Ting's room was also strictly decorated according to the standards of a concubine's daughter from a large family. When decorating, Madame Lan had even sent someone to ask for Feng Ting's opinion, so this room was completely decorated according to Feng Ting's taste. Chapter 198. Sometimes, Feng Ting would rather Lady Lan be like the legitimate mothers of other families and mistreat the children of concubines. That way, she could find a chance to act pitiful in front of her grandfather and father and sow discord between them in front of her brother. Unfortunately, this Lady Lan did not do anything wrong. She still remembered when she first returned to the Feng family. She saw Lady Lan crying all day and thought that she was weak and easy to bully. She even wanted to find a chance to make her father hate her and let her biological mother have the chance to take the position of the legitimate wife. That way, she could go from being a concubine's daughter who was not liked by people to the legitimate wife. After staying in the Feng family for a long time, she found out how naive her original thoughts were. As long as Feng Juntian was here, Lan Xiaodai could not step down. The mother of the future head of the family had to be the legitimate wife. Even if her father really hated Lan Xiaodai, he could not bring her mother into the family. Just her grandfather alone would not be enough. As for Lan Xiaodai, although she cried all day, she really did not do anything wrong. Also, when there were outsiders, she could act in line with the elegance and nobility of the Feng family's head madam. In these years in the Feng family, even she had to admit that Lan Xiaodai was much more outstanding than her mother. Her mother, who was a servant, could not catch up to her. The two girls naturally had to whisper behind closed doors. Qiu Ruoshui asked the question from before again. Feng Ting smiled slightly before saying, "Brother is going to pick up Feng Wu." Qiu Ruoshui never would have thought that Feng Juntian left to do this. Thinking of Feng Wu, Qiu Ruoshui became angry. What's going on? Didn't grandfather Feng dislike that Feng Wu? Why did he suddenly change his mind and want to bring her back? Feng Ting poured a cup of tea for the two before saying, "Because Aunt wrote a letter saying that she was coming back from the Blood Moon Forest and also mentioned that she wanted to see Xiao Wu." Because of Aunt, grandfather agreed to let Xiao Wu come back to the Feng family.
It's great that Xiao Wu can come back.
Mother can finally see her biological daughter. Feng Ting was a little happy, but also a little sad. Qiu Ruoshui couldn't bear it when she saw her good friend's disappointed look.
Ting Ting, don't be sad. Even if Feng Wu comes back, so what? You are the eldest young miss of the Feng family. No family will let her enter the family after what she did.
Ruoshui, don't say that.
Xiao Wu is my sister.
No matter what she did, I believe that she had her reasons.
What difficulties could she have?
She's just shameless.
Qiu Ruoshui lifted her eyelids indifferently. Feng Ting looked at Qiu Ruoshui with disapproval.
Alright, I won't talk about it, okay? At most, I won't talk about your sister.
Let's talk about your aunt. Your aunt is really coming back. When I was young, I admired Aunt Tianqing the most.
When will she arrive?
Will she return to the Blood Moon Forest this time?
When Qiu Ruoshui mentioned Feng Tianqing, her eyes sparkled as if she was looking at her idol.
She should arrive in a few days. Aunt will stay for a long time this time.
It doesn't look like something happened in the Blood Moon Forest. This time, there should be someone to replace Aunt.
Something happened.
What happened?
Is Aunt Tianqing all right? Thinking that her idol might be injured, Qiu Ruoshui was anxious.
She should be fine. However, the people who guarded the Blood Moon Forest with Aunt Tianqing are either dead or injured. Aunt Tianqing has guarded the Blood Moon Forest for 20 years.
It's time for someone else to go. That's why she brought cousin Yanran back.
You mean Feng Yanran?
She's coming back.
I haven't seen her for many years.
I don't know if she's as beautiful and cute as when she was young.
Thinking of Feng Yanran, Qiu Ruoshui thought of a little girl as beautiful as a doll.
She should be as beautiful as when she was young.
I haven't seen little sister Yanran for a long time. I really miss her.
Thinking of Feng Yanran, Feng Ting's eyes dimmed.
Feng Wu was the Feng family's first wife's daughter. She was highly valued by her grandfather and father. However, Feng Yanran was an illegitimate daughter with an unknown father. She was more favored than all the younger generation in the family.
It would be strange if she liked Feng Yanran.
Of course, she wouldn't show such thoughts.
She was the kind and brave Feng Ting.
Naturally, no one noticed the conversation in Feng Ting's room. At this moment, Feng Juntian had already passed through 2 teleportation arrays and finally arrived at the central city. Feng Wu didn't know that her cheap brother had already come to the central city to find her. She had just come out of the mirage and was enjoying the delicious lunch made by Tian Yu. She was only halfway through her lunch when she was interrupted.
Xiao Wu, Big Brother is here to pick you up. When Feng Juntian saw Feng Wu in a blue dress, he suddenly felt his eyes sting.
At this moment, Feng Juntian felt unprecedentedly nervous. He couldn't stop thinking about her reaction.
Would she scold him? Would she chase him out with a broom? Or would she just ignore him? All kinds of guesses flashed past Feng Juntian's mind.
However, he never expected that after hearing his words, Feng Wu would put down her bowl and chopsticks and throw herself into his arms.
The little hand that had taken the drumstick was still tightly hugging his waist.
The greasy little hand had left 2 greasy marks on Feng Juntian's white robes. The corners of Tian Yu's mouth twitched.
She should at least wipe her hands.
How expensive was that set of clothes?
How could she use it to wipe her hands?
Fortunately, Feng Juntian didn't care if his clothes were stained. He hugged Feng Wu back as his heart swelled.
He really didn't expect that Feng Wu would take the initiative to hug him.
Feng Wu had never been close to him since they were young. Every time he wanted to get close to this little sister of his, Feng Wu would hide far away from him. This was the first time in his life that his little sister took the initiative to hug him.
What should he do?
Big brother.
Feng Wu was in a good mood.
She finally met her big brother. Her big brother was so handsome. Good girl.
He patted his little sister's head. Xiao Wu, will you go home with Big Brother? Feng Juntian hugged Feng Wu and asked carefully.
However,
Fengwu lifted her head from Feng Juentian's embrace. No, I can't go. Ming Shi hasn't agreed to marry me. Fengwu shook her head decisively. Who is Ming Shi? This was the first time Feng Juntian had heard of this name. He's Bao Bao's future father. Fengwu looked at Feng Juntian and said seriously. What? Feng Juntian was shocked. She wanted to find a father for her child. Xiao Wu, what kind of person is this Ming Shi? How much do you know about him? What if he's not a good person? The newly appointed sister-obsessed big brother had just acknowledged his little sister and he was already worried sick about her. Chapter 199. No matter who that Ming Shi was, in Feng Juentian's eyes, he was just a kidnapper who kidnapped innocent girls. Fengwu couldn't understand her brother's feelings. She blinked and said, he's a very good person, just like Master. In Fengwu's eyes, her master, who had raised her since she was young, was the best person in the world. No one could compare to him. Master, at least I didn't raise you for nothing. Master, when did you have a master? Feng Juntian asked in confusion. Fengwu pursed her lips and didn't say anything. She lowered her head, leaving Feng Juntian with a black crown. What was going on? Feng Juntian fell silent. It seemed like he had touched on a topic that he couldn't talk about. It was important to change the topic. Xiao Wu, no matter who that Ming Shi is, go home with your brother first, okay? Grandpa, father, and mother are still waiting for you at home. Don't you want to see them? Her lowered head finally lifted slowly. Grandpa, father, mother, these words had never appeared in her life before. That meant that other than her brother, she had other relatives too? Before she transmigrated, Fengwu was very envious of others who had so many relatives. Now she had them too. She was a little happy, but also a little hesitant. It wasn't easy for her to meet someone who met her master's criteria for a future husband. After leaving, would she still be able to see Ming Shi? Although she really wanted to see her family, she didn't want to never see Ming Shi again. Fengwu girl was very distressed and didn't know how to choose. Will I still be able to see Ming Shi? Fengwu asked her brother carefully. Her eyes were filled with anticipation and fear of disappointment. She was as adorable as a little animal. Of course you'll still be able to see him. We're just going home for the holidays. When school reopens, you'll be back again. No matter what, he had to call her over first. So she could still come back. The Fengwu girl was satisfied and nodded. Let's go home together, brother. After having a delicious meal at Chenyue's house, Fengwu took Little White and Little Bun with her and bid farewell to Chenyue's family. She promised that she would bring Tenk some snacks from the ancient eastern countries when she came back. Only then did she wave her sleeves and leave with her brother. Outside the Feng residence, Feng Juntian and his younger sister, Fengwu, stood outside the main entrance and accompanied Fengwu as they looked around the main entrance. The Feng family's residence was naturally decorated with oriental characteristics. At the entrance were two red lacquered doors. At first glance, it gave people a dignified feeling. At the main entrance, 2 rows of servants were already standing in place, shouting to welcome eldest young master and second young master back home. The servants of the Feng family carefully sized up the young miss who had left home for more than a year. They felt that the young miss seemed to have changed a lot. In the past, she would get angry at the slightest thing. She was like a cannonball that would explode at the slightest provocation. But now, she had a wooden face the entire time. Her expressionless face looked much cuter than her angry face from before. That holy beast was carrying the young Mrs. Child, right? They didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. Back then, the young miss had gotten pregnant before marriage and was punished by the old master. Although the family head and the old master had ordered them to keep it a secret, there was no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world. Moreover, it was such a big matter. Although it was impossible for everyone in Lonling City to know about it, some of the big families with some power basically knew about it.
Although the ancient eastern country wasn't as strong as the four great empires where no one dared to provoke them, it was definitely not a small country. There were many big and small cities in the ancient eastern country. Lonling City was the capital of the ancient eastern country. In Lonling City, there were many aristocratic families that stood at the top of the pyramid of the ancient eastern country. The Feng family was such a 1,000-year-old aristocratic family. At the same time, it was also one of the top aristocratic families. Feng Juntian held Fengwu's hand and brought his younger sister into the grand entrance without looking at her. When the servants of the Feng family saw this scene, their jaws almost dropped from shock.
It couldn't be. What did they see?
They actually saw this pair of siblings who had always been at odds with each other walking hand in hand. This is too inconceivable. I must still be dreaming.
I must be having an eye problem. It must be. I must go see a doctor later. Eldest young master and second young miss actually came back hand in hand. Could it be that the sky of the Feng family is about to change? Second young miss is actually holding hands with eldest young master. I'm really not dreaming.
Feng Juntian didn't know that this group of servants who had serious expressions on their faces were actually crazily commenting in their hearts. If he knew, he would probably send all of them to the mines to work. When she saw Fengwu and Feng Juntian walk in hand, the person who was affected the most was undoubtedly Feng Ting. All this time, as a concubine sister who took it as her duty to drive a wedge between the siblings, the thing she didn't want to see the most was for the siblings to have a good relationship. If this pair of siblings had a good relationship, then would there still be a place for her? She wanted to be Feng Juntian's closest sister. She had worked hard for so many years. How could she let Fengwu turn it around so easily?
No, she must think of another way. She definitely couldn't let them reconcile.
At this moment, Feng Ting had a joyful smile on her face, but her heart was filled with hatred.
She was determined to chase Fengwu away again.
She definitely couldn't let her snatch away what she had fought so hard for.
Grandfather, Xiao Wu is back.
Feng Juntian let go of Fengwu's hand and bowed respectfully to the old man who was sitting on the main seat. Feng Wuliu looked expressionlessly at Fengwu and grunted.
It was unknown what he was thinking.
Was he happy about this granddaughter's return, or was he indifferent?
Xiao Wu, quickly greet grandfather.
Madame Lan thought that Fengwu was still angry and tugged at Fengwu's sleeve. Her gentle face was filled with nervousness.
Grandfather.
Fengwu obediently called him grandpa, but after that, she stood next to Feng Juntian without saying a word, as if she was a block of wood. Remember, you have to thank your aunt properly for being able to come back this time. If it wasn't for your aunt wanting to see you, don't even think about taking a step into the Feng family's door in this lifetime. Feng Wuliu got angry the moment he saw Fengwu. He really didn't understand how his Feng family could give birth to a descendant like Fengwu. He didn't blame her for not having talent. Since she was a girl, there was no need for her to inherit the family business. At most, he would find a good marriage for her in the future. Being a happy upper-class woman at home and helping her husband and children was also a good choice. However, this girl seemed to be born rebellious. She would always put on a face as if the entire family owed her. At home, she would snatch things from Feng Ting from time to time. Otherwise, she would scold the servants, saying that the servants looked down on her. Every time she went out, she would definitely get into trouble. In short, this child was a troublesome child since she was sensible. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.